It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN.
I want to be in the same spot. Like, that's just how I am. I'm from a small town. Went to college an hour outside of that. Wanted to stay there as long as possible. It's the same here. You know, when I got drafted, I knew that I wanted to be here for as long as possible. And this is the step in that direction, so it means a lot.
Alongside Alex and Bradford Bruns, I'm Brandon Kiley. T-Bone out this week. He'll be back in with us next week. He's getting some much-needed vacation. J.J. Weatherholt. It was announced on Friday, literally,
like 2:01.
Right after we got off of the air.
I think that's a personal shot from Heim. I think Heim hates us.
He might. It's in play.
Heim hates the fact that you didn't like the Bryson Mott situation, and he's like, I'm going to hold this till 2 just to stick it to him.
Yeah, that's possible. The Fast Lane got to react to that all day on Friday. We very much did not. I was shocked by the announcement, Alex. Not because I didn't think they would want to get some kind of a deal done with J.J. Weatherholt, but because of the money that was associated with this deal. I thought he would ask for so much more than this. And that's why I was consistently saying I don't think they're going to get one done with J.J. Weatherholt. 8 years, $112 million is ultimately what he got. For context, Kevin McGonigal got 8 years, $150. Connor Griffin got 8 years, $140. J.J. Weatherholt has proven more this year than those guys had at the time that they were signed long-term. Now, age plays into this. Those teams needed to sign an extension with their respective players because otherwise they wouldn't have been able to get their primes. They were 20, 21 years old when they got up to the big league level. Meanwhile, J.J. Weatherholt's 23. So there's context here that is super important. I loved the deal. The moment that it was announced, I have been somebody that has consistently said, don't know that it's going to make sense for the Cardinals to do this. I saw the figures. I was like, oh, well, yeah, that makes sense for the team. I think he settled here. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I think that deserves a lot of praise among Cardinals fans, that this guy clearly values being here. He wants to be a part of what the Cardinals are building. And this felt like as much symbolism as it was, you know, a huge moment for the Cardinals. They are symbolizing our rebuild starts with JJ. That is the figurehead for whatever comes over the next 5, 7, 8 years. It's a smart deal by the team. It's $100 million guaranteed to the player. How are you going to turn that down? Good for him. Good for the Cardinals. Great day for the St. Louis Cardinals future on
and
Friday.
a peek behind the curtain, T-Bone liked it. He texted us on Friday and said he liked it. And we all know how T-Bone is with contract extensions. So that goes to show you just the decisions behind it. I was shocked, too, because of the conversations we had of how it's just not necessary for the Cardinals to just sign J.J. Weatherholt because you have him under contract for basically his prime years. And to what you said of them stating this is centralized what our rebuild looks like, I assumed it was going to be Jordan Walker. I assumed the first big contract that was going to be handed out was going to be the guy that looks like he's going to be the MVP for the future of the Cardinals. And going to J.J. Weatherholt, it makes a lot of sense. In the sense of you have a guy that you drafted higher than anybody you've drafted since J.D. Drew at the position side of things. A guy that in a matter of a year was already looking like he was primed to play at the major league level. And if you put both the rosters together from last year to this year, yes, Jordan Walker is a key component of why they're having so much success. But I told you this, and we've talked about this already this season. How much success is Jordan Walker having if you don't have guys getting on base for him? And I think J.J. Weatherholt represents a lot of that, a hardworking player that has a defensive driven, but also has every tool that you're looking for in the book. So it just made a lot of sense to the Cardinals. But also the sign of him signing now for that amount of money is what we talked about last week. We were talking more on the hockey side of things, but there are just some guys that look at it and say, this is good for me now and for the future, but I want to be a part of what this is. And I think it represents what St. Louis market is, to where you get guys here, you show him what the fan base is, you show him what it looks like in terms of winning, and people are locked in and wanting to be a part of St. Louis. So kudos to J.J. Weatherholt for signing that contract and leaving some dollars on the table, but also kudos to the Cardinals for creating a ambiance of, hey, we have a winning culture. You are going to be centralized in this. We want you, and we want to pay you the money to show you that this rebuild starts with you.
Yeah, I think it was the right move by the team. It's a great move by the player, in my opinion. Again, I was surprised by it, but I like the fact that he was willing to do this, and I agree with you, Alex. I think it speaks to where they're at right now as an organization. It also speaks to how great this player is.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think there's anybody questioning this deal. And you brought up in the office earlier today, hey, you look back at the DeYoung deal, the Wong deal, some of these others that the Cardinals have handed out. There's at least been questions about them. Mm-hmm. Now, I, at the time, supported all of those as well because the money associated with it was just so insignificant that whatever. This is different than those deals, though. This is $100+ million. Last time the Cardinals did that with a young player was Albert Pujols. So to get this kind of a deal done with J.J. Weatherholt this early on in his career, it speaks to how great this player is. He's already this season been worth, I know people will push back against it, I'll get into more traditional numbers here in a moment, but he's been worth almost 4 wins above replacement through his first 90 career games. That's crazy, Alex. Last year, I actually want to look back at this. I wonder if the Cardinals had anybody last year worth at more than 4 wins above replacement on the season.
I highly doubt it.
And I'm talking for the entirety of the 2025 season. Last
Win
year
would be the one that I could consider being closest.
Nope. By baseball wins above replacement, their leader was 2.7, and that was Brendan Donovan a year ago.
That makes sense.
This year, J.J. Weatherholt has already, again, in 90 games, been worth 3.8 wins above replacement.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hole is in his game right now. He hits for average. He gets on base at a high clip. He's got a little bit of pop. He runs the bases well when it comes to steals. Already 9 so far this year, on pace for almost 20. 0 caught stolen. Is so far this season, at least by the metrics, the single best defender at second base in all of Major League Baseball. Yeah. I don't think there's a hole in his game. And I said before the season, I don't know if you can be a star with this kind of a profile where it's just kind of like you're good at everything, but not necessarily elite at anything. Well, he is elite defensively. And I think the answer is yes, you can be a star. You just have to be this good at everything.
Yeah, well, and I think the argument could be the whole is, I guess, power, but he was never sold as somebody who had power, maybe more doubles power, but not home run power. But yeah, I mean, you can be a star with this, but I do think you have to have the Jordan Walker for this guy to be a star. Like, you have to have somebody who is making the getting on base effective in the lineup, if that makes sense. And that's where I think it comes down to the duo of Jordan Walker and J.J. Weatherholt of, like, I think one works with the other. It might be that Batman and Robin we've always been talking about for the Cardinals, but you can absolutely be a star, especially in this market. Like, maybe it's not a star in other markets. In this market, Cardinals baseball fans love hardworking, defensive-minded players that just always go out there and it's the saying that's always used with the Blues. Pull your bootstraps up and you go to work. That's what J.J. Weatherholt represents, and I think those guys can be stars.
We have had a few people say, BK, you're flip-flopping on this. You said not to extend him, and now you're saying it's a good deal. Let me explain this a little bit further, just in case I didn't do a good job of it, man.
We always flip-flop.
And then we'll get into, I thought, the interesting quote from Bill DeWitt III coming up here momentarily at the press conference. My opinion before, just the elevator pitch on it, I don't think you needed to do this. It's twofold. One, you already have him under arbitration rights locked up through his age 29-ish season. That is different than the Kevin McGonigal or Connor Griffin deal, especially Connor Griffin, who came up, I think, at 19 years old. For J.J. Weatherholt, you didn't have the same urgency to get a deal done, and I think that's why the dollar figure came in lower than what it was for those other guys. So that's part of it. The other aspect of it is he's just been better than I expected him to be. I did not think he was going to be this good this quickly. He has surprised me defensively and with the pop. I didn't think he would be this good defensively, and in talking to people with the Cardinals over the weekend, they didn't think he was going to be this good defensively either. And the pop would be the second thing that I wasn't sure we would see this at the major league level. I think he's got 40 double potential later on in his career. I think he could get to 25-ish home runs at some point in his career. You look at that with the on-base and batting average that he's representing right now, that's a consistent all-star. And if that's what he's going to be, I have no issue with them extending him. So it's twofold. One, I didn't think the money would be this low. And two, I did not think he was going to be this good this quickly. And between those two aspects, yes, I have flip-flopped from what my opinion was 2 months ago to where I am today, just to be candid. Yeah. Just like for many of you, I would assume a lot of people feel differently about Jordan Walker's place in the organization than they did 2 months ago because he's earned that, right? And so this gets us to the Bill to it, the third comments from the press conference on Friday on what J.J. Weatherholt's extension represents and what lies ahead for the organization.
It's an important day, I think, for our long-term strategy of really building a core. Obviously, we're seeing that out on the field every day, and JJ is one of the keys to that group. And locking him up for this long period of time feels like one down and several more to go at some point. But it's a nice organizational milestone, but it's really just the beginning. And I think it shows, hopefully, our fans that we're committed to this process. And I think committed to playing it out in all the different ways that this process has to be committed to. So one of those is committing to some of your players long term. And so I think that's a big milestone in that rebuilding effort.
First of many.
Several, he said.
Whew. Who's next? JJ's done. Who's next on the docket, in your opinion,
I mean, to me, the common sense one would be Jordan Walker. I said it a couple times already. I don't think we're having the season as Cardinals fans that you are, and Weatherholt's not doing what he's doing without Jordan Walker. So to me, if J.J. Weatherholt is the centerpiece of what this rebuild is, then Jordan Walker's got to be right there next to him. So that would be the one that I'm going to try and lock down. The only issue with that one is that's not going to be a cheap extension, and I don't know how much more evidence they want of Jordan Walker prior.
So think about how the Cardinals kind of had the better side of the negotiation with the leverage over J.J. Weatherholt because he had so much control already, and it's already going into his age 29 season. The opposite is true with Jordan Walker, where he will next offseason begin arbitration. He has 3 years remaining. That goes through his age 26, 27 season. He has all the leverage going into a negotiation like that.
Signing a contract.
So he might, but they're going to have to really ante up in that one. I mean, we're talking
$300 million.
100 plus is the starting point for even getting into the conversation with JJ with Jordan Walker.
And I think you'll be lucky to get to his 32 season. Like, I think we're only talking 4 or 5 years, maybe, because
I think you're getting long term. If you're going to do an extension with him, he's going to want it long term.
Go till like what, 34? 8 years? Or are you going longer?
So you're not getting through age 34. I'm talking about like beyond the arbitration years.
But that was only 3 years. And that's why I said maybe 4 or 5 years. I don't know if you're going to get to age 32.
Are you saying 4-year extension, or are you saying 3 years of arb plus 4 more years buying out?
4 years of extension.
Agency?
Like, I don't know
if
you
only get 1 more year of control.
Like, I don't know if
Why
you're going to
get the player sign that.
Well, I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know if you're going to get to age 32 with Jordan Walker on a contract, because I think he'd be looking at it as I want to renegotiate a contract by the time I'm still in my prime.
I think you could get to 30, 31, something like that, because that would be a 7-year deal. So you're buying out 4 years of free agency years with him. Mm-hmm. And if you're going 7 years, you're probably talking about $200+ million with him. So that's a tougher one to negotiate. And the reason why I bring that up is because I think that's probably not something you do until like this time next year.
Yep.
If the Cardinals are going to get an extension done prior to opening day of next year, my guess on who it would be is Alec Burleson. I know that might sound strange given the age, but that's where I do think, to your point, Alex, it would be a shorter term deal. I think you're talking about 4 or 5 years with Alec Burleson. Could you get him on like the Paul Goldschmidt or the Wilson Contreras deal, where it's 5 years, $100 to $125 million? I could see something like that making sense for both the player and the team. He gets $100 million guaranteed the moment that he signs the dotted line. They get to have control over him for the foreseeable future. And even if the Cardinals decide long-term, Ivan Herrera is going to be a first baseman, or Rainiel Rodriguez is going to be a first baseman for us, you could always trade that deal down the road, and it will still maintain some level of value the way that the Wilson Contreras deal did, because the guy can hit.
Yeah.
And so other teams across Major League Baseball, left-handed hitter, not getting up there in age, decent contract in terms of the salary, I think that will always hold value across the league. So Burleson, to me, would be the one that I would circle as a potential contract extension.
I think any of those three, Walker, Herrera, or Burleson, I would totally understand if they did some type of contract extension, because to me, when Bill DeWitt III says several or many, those are the guys that I think of immediately. And then you add in some of the prospects that are in the minor league system.
Yeah, I would even look at, like, maybe not now, but next offseason. The Brewers made that deal with Pratt in the offseason where he had not yet made it to the big leagues, and they signed him to an extension. I would look at something like that with Rainiel Rodriguez.
What about Baez?
No, too many questions about his swing. I don't know how it's going to translate. Like, he could be right-handed version of Nolan Gorman. It's entirely possible. With Rainiel Rodriguez, I have very few questions. He's 19 years old. He's crushing the baseball. I think he's going to be at the big league level by late next season or the start of the 2028 campaign. And if you believe that, I think we're getting closer to a potential contract negotiation time for him. Alongside Alex Ferrario and Bradford Bruns, I'm Brandon Kiley. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line to get involved in the show. From the 314, Burleson worth $20 a year. Is he really worth more than J.J. Weatherholt? Yes, because of when they're signing the deal. Yeah. J.J. had 3 more years of pre-arb years remaining, which means that for that time, he's $1 million a season. And then he gets into arbitration, and in the year one, he's like $3 or $4 million, and then it goes up from there. So yes, it's weird. I understand that, but the way that these contracts are negotiated, when they're negotiated, you're going off of the current dollar figure to get to that starting point. Meanwhile, Burleson only has a couple of years remaining, and he's already making $3.5 a year. Next year, you're talking about 6 or 7 as the starting point for negotiation. So yes, that's why he would be worth more, even though he's not as good of a player as JJ. YouTube.com/101ESPN STL is the place where you can go for the YouTube chat as well. Coming up in 15 minutes, Blues made a signing over the weekend. And he's back, Alex. We'll get into that coming up in 15 minutes. But next, this Cardinals team just won't die. What did we learn about him over the weekend? We'll talk about it next year on 101 ESPN.
You can now listen to 101 ESPN on demand. Get caught up on all our shows and podcasts at 101ESPN.com or on the 101 mobile app. 101 ESPN podcasts are presented by the Schaefer Door Company. the picture, the real big St. Louis sports picture. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN.
It is a different group, and the way I look at it is the ceiling is higher when it comes to what's possible for this group. So although the record's the same, you're just getting started as to what's possible for them. And there's still a lot of room for improvement and a lot of work to be done. And the best part about all of it is that they're bought into it and they're hungry for that. That's what our staff is most excited about. Yeah.
That was Ollie Marmol after the game yesterday, talking about why this year feels different for the Cardinals. Alongside Alex Ferrario and Bradford Bruns, I'm Brandon Kiley. T-Bone off this week. He'll be back in with us next week. Alex, to me, the biggest thing that we've learned about the Cardinals is that they just don't die. Every time you think they have reached a spot where it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's where it's going to feel more like it did a year ago. They're going to drop back to earth, and then they're going to become a seller at the trade deadline, and it'll be over from there. And we'll move on to the youth movement and, nice 3 months of baseball, but otherwise, is kind of what we should have expected. Every time we see that stretch of games happen, they rebound. And they find a way to bounce back. Sometimes it's the pitching that gets them back on track. A lot of the times it's the offense that gets them back on track. Sometimes it's, hey, they went up against the right team at the right time that gets them back on track. But they always seem to have a response. You look back early in the season, they got off to such a hot start. They were 9 games above 500. And then they take on Pittsburgh. And this was that stretch where they had a bunch of series against divisional opponents in a row. And it just didn't go well for them. They end up playing against Texas. They don't look good in that series at home. And then they are able to sweep the Reds. They win 2 out of 3 against the New York Mets. They win 2 out of 3 against the San Diego Padres. It's like, all right, back on track. But then they go to Kansas City, and you remember that series. The pitching was an abomination. They play against Arizona. Didn't look good there. Lose 2 out of 3 against Miami. Uh-oh, here we go again. Nope, because then they win 2 out of 3 against Atlanta. They take 2 out of 3 against Chicago, and it's like, all right, they're back. But then they suck against the Milwaukee Brewers for 4 days and 5 games.
That one's understandable.
They win 2 out of 3 to finish out the first half of the season, winning the first 2 games of this series against the Atlanta Braves, and had a chance yesterday to sweep that series overall, despite a pretty disappointing start, I think it's fair to say, from Dustin May, who had 0 command over the first 2 innings. What have you made of this? Their ability to consistently respond, Alex, and finish the first half of the season 5 games above 500.
I'm going to use a comp here that I made to you guys in the office that I can speak very highly to because I did this for about 8 years. The Cardinals are like damn cockroaches. Just when you think you've killed one, 5 more come out of the wall, and you're like, son of a... And you keep coming back every week trying to get rid of them, and they keep coming back. That's this Cardinals team. I mean, to me, when you were going through that schedule, the areas where I was like, all right, I've been sold on who the Cardinals are, was the Twins, Royals, Diamondback series. And I know they won the Padres in between the Twins and the Royals, but I felt like the Twins, you were going up against the team that was kind of in a similar spot as you. Yep. Royals, your pitching completely combusted, and the Diamondbacks and the Marlins were very similar spots as you. And I said, okay, well, you're playing against teams that are in the same spot competing for a playoff spot that you are, and they're out-dueling you. So it's hard for me to view this team in any other light of, well, you're just not there yet. And that's fine because we talked all about the pitching was chasing its tail. You had to readjust. Your bullpen was in shambles, but that's where the cockroach happened. I just squished one and I looked at my boot and it crawled off of it because the Braves, the Cubs, and then the Braves again. And I'm going to set aside the Brewers because they're in a different stratosphere than where the Cardinals are at.
It's the Brewers and the Dodgers and then everybody else.
Exactly. I'm not even comparing those two because I know what the Brewers are. They're the big brother that you're looking up to. But the Braves series to me, and somewhat of the Cubs, but really the Braves, that's the team that I think people still look at and be like, oh, well, they're a damn good team. And I don't even know if they're going to win their division for Philadelphia and how they've been playing versus the Braves. But the fact that when you were as exhausted as it was illustrated by Derek last week when he joined us, your pitching was in shambles. You reset the table in that Brewers series so you could focus more on the Braves series. man, you got your tasks done. You took on the Braves twice. You took on the Cubs. I would imagine if you were to ask the Cardinals brass, those were the 3 most important series in the Final Four that they were going into, and they did the job that they needed to do. They won those series. The pitching is the part that probably surprised me the most, because for how much it was talked about it being so just exhausted, man, look at what they did in those 3 games against the Braves, even without Dustin May. Kyle Leahy pitched 3 innings for you on Friday. That was essentially a bullpen. Yeah, but essentially a bullpen game for you, and they were able to come in and get the job done. So I just, every time, and I should learn by now, if you look at the Cardinals and say, yeah, this is probably who they are, they're going to find a way to pull themselves back up because they've got that fight that's very difficult to get rid of.
We talked a lot about this stretch of games. Since June 22nd, the Cardinals have played 3 versus Arizona, 3 versus Miami, 6 versus Atlanta, 3 versus the Cubs, and 5 versus Milwaukee. That is the stretch of games that we're discussing right now, about a 3-week stretch. All of those teams are currently either in a playoff spot or, in the case of the Diamondbacks, within 2.5 games of a playoff spot. So in other words, these are your peer programs, especially in the National League. The Cardinals finished that stretch 9-11. There's a lot of heavy-duty work, though, being done by that Brewers series, where you go 1-4 against them. So against teams not named the Brewers, and again, I'm with Alex, the Brewers, regardless of how I feel about them in the playoffs, and as a regular season team, they are, along with the Dodgers, creme de la creme in not just the National League, but I would argue in all of Major League Baseball. It's those two, and then you can get into your next tier in Major League Baseball. If we're not talking about the Brewers series, 8-7 against all of those other teams. Hey, man, if you would have told me before this stretch that that's what you'd potentially be able to do against them, I would have signed up for it.
Right.
8-7 against the Diamondbacks, Marlins, Braves, and Cubs. Those are your peer programs. That's all you have to do in the playoffs to advance. You just got to go 1 game above 500, man. So I think what we've learned about this team is that when you put them head-to-head against other wild card contenders or other teams that are in that second tier of the National League, they're right there against them. They're right up there against them. And that ultimately will be, like, what that means. That's up to Chaim Bloom to decide.
Right.
Is that good enough for us to just be a peer program for these teams, or do we need to be better than them in order for us to cash in any chips whatsoever at the trade deadline? I don't know, but it speaks highly of the talent on this roster, the coaching that they've been given from Ollie Marmol and his staff, and overall the fight that they've shown so far this year, that they're even in the conversation with those teams. Right now, they're on pace for like 85 wins.
Yeah.
I think all of us would have signed up for that prior to the start of the season.
I think at the start of the season, I said the hope was that they could get to 80, and I thought it would be more like 75. So, I mean, they've outperformed any of my expectations. But again, just certain areas of the season, it's been certain areas of the team that have just outperformed what my expectations were, versus the offense early on, where we talked about how minimal power that they had, and they were hitting home runs left and right. And then the pitching, I thought, was going to wear thin by this point. And now you look at it, Matthew Liberatore, who we'll get into a little bit later, has gotten stronger over the last few. McGreevy's been consistent from start to finish, and their bullpen's gotten better.
Alongside Alex and Bradford on BK. Coming up in 15 minutes, we'll get into questions and answers. 314-399-9646. That is the Air Comfort Service text line to get your questions in. But next, Oscar Sundqvist is back? I thought we were done with that story,
He's
but
like
apparently
a
not.
cockroach too.
What is the plan here? What's his value to the St. Louis Blues? Alex will describe it next year on 101 ESPN.
101 ESPN is powered by Kaufman Townsley, St. Louis's injury lawyers. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
The Redbird Report. Your front row seat to all things Cardinals. From the dugout to the diamond, BK and T-Bone go deep with the latest news, notes, and analysis. Watch the Redbird Report on YouTube or listen online at 101ESPN.com.
Hey, it's BK, and it is time for you to unlock your inner champion. The place to do so is with my friends over at Victory Men's Health. Get started today with Victory Men's Health at victorymenshealth.com. That's the easiest way to book that first appointment. Go to their website, click on Get Started, top right corner of the page. Put in your name, email, phone number. Tell them BK with 101 ESPN sent you, and then tell them what it means for you to unlock your inner champion. That's going to look a little different for everybody. For some, it's low testosterone symptoms. Maybe it's weight loss goals that you're trying to meet. Could be sexual health that you need a little bit of help with. they can do that over at Victory Men's Health. Book that first appointment today. When you do so, you'll go in for that first appointment. You will have a consultation with a licensed medical provider. They'll do some lab work for you, find out where all of your different levels are at, and then they'll put together a personalized plan for you to unlock your inner champion. They have 4 great locations over at Victory Men's Health all across the St. Louis metro area. It'll be convenient for you, and they will be able to unlock your inner champion. It's all available today at Victory Men's Health and online at victorymenshealth.com.
Tomorrow night is the MLB All-Star Game. Coverage begins at 6. The MLB plays on 101 ESPN. 101 ESPN Sports Center.
Season's first half concludes for St. Louis. Good morning, I'm Bradford Bruns with a Sports Center update driven by Universal Windows Direct. Ali Marmal's squad is 50-45 entering the All-Star break after taking 2 of 3 against Atlanta. Attention now pivoting to Philly, where Jordan Walker will compete in tonight's home run derby. Hometown sluggers Bryce Harper plus Kyle Schwarber also headline this year's crop. Our coverage begins at 7, post instant replay. Meanwhile, MLB's 2026 draft concluded yesterday. The Cardinals making 24 selections, including first-round pick Trevor Condon. AL Central leading Chicago took UCLA shortstop Brock Chalowski, number 1 overall. Your Sports Center update has been presented by Universal Windows Direct. You'll be saying, I love my windows.
We're right back to more of it. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN.
All right, Alex, Oscar Sundqvist, we got the message over the weekend from the St. Louis Blues. He signed a new 1-year deal. $800,000 is what he'll make if he's at the NHL level, but it is a 2-way contract. I believe it was $300,000 is what he's going to make if he's down in the AHL. I was surprised by the announcement. It makes a lot of sense, though, if you're talking about just, hey, This is a depth guy that wants to be here in St. Louis. What was your reaction when you saw that Oskar Sundqvist is back once again?
That Sonny's a man of his word when he said last time he signed the contract in St. Louis that this is where I want to be. I'm a little surprised that he signed the two-way contract, but what it tells me is a week into free agency, his agents wanted to see, like, hey, is there something out there for Oskar Sundqvist on an NHL deal? There obviously wasn't, or at least not to his liking. And it was, all right, well, let's see what the Blues have for us. And I would imagine the Blues said, look, we don't have any one-way deals because we've got a lot of dudes in that position, but we want you back, and we like the idea of having the depth option of Oskar Sundqvist. So to me, when I saw the signing, it was, one, he doesn't want to leave St. Louis, and two, the Blues value that presence to say, if you're okay with it, we'd love to have you in the AHL this season with our younger guys. Now, that's not to say it's a confirmed thing. I would imagine that's the internal competition Steen talked about. But, I mean, just go through the lists of centers now that are on this team, which is ironic for how much we talked about they don't have centers, and now they just loaded up with them. You've got McTavish, you've got McMichael, who both can play the center position. You've got Dalibor Dvorsky. You signed Dylan Dubé. You have Jack Finley, who they really like for what he did last year. I mean, there's not a spot for Oskar Sundqvist. So I think they saw this as, look, if you're okay with it, if you want to play and are okay with playing in the Springfield Thunderbirds organization, having you and Steve Ott mentor Justin Carbonneau and Otto Stenberg and all of these younger options, that's going to be the best case scenario for us so that those guys know what it takes to play at the NHL level. And I think it's a great move by the Blues if Sonny's on board with it.
The other thing is, like, a lot of what this offseason has been tells me they're ready to win. Now, I don't know what level of winning they're planning to do, but this is the kind of signing you make if you want the depth to overcome any kind of injuries that you have on your fourth line throughout the season.
Correct.
Because Sonny can come in and give you adequate minutes. He's not going to be a great player at this stage of his career, but can he come in and help you and replicate some of what you were getting from other fourth liners? Absolutely. I feel much better about that than I did so many of the other guys that they were throwing on their fourth line in recent seasons. Like,
correct.
They had Hugh McGean coming up a couple of years ago at like 5'10", $1
Yep.
and playing on that fourth line. Think about some of the other options that they've cycled through. Like, I think right now there's a decent chance Otto Stenberg is in the AHL to begin the start of next season.
I agree.
I think there is a very strong likelihood that Justin Carbonneau begins the season next year at the AHL level. I think you will also see now Oskar Sundqvist down there. That's three options at the AHL level. Dylan Dubé might be an extra forward for you. Nathan Walker's probably an extra forward for you going into next year. These are guys that on some other NHL rosters would be starting. So the depth has exponentially grown for the Blues, and the fact that they were willing to make a signing like this where it's not there's not nothing in terms of the dollar figure that is associated with Oskar Sundqvist. It's not going to really affect the bottom line for them cap-wise, but to pay him $300,000 to just go down there and serve as depth, that's real investment by the team.
Somebody made the comp on our text line, and I didn't think of it. It's a great comp. It's what they did with Chris Thorburn. Now, when Chris Thorburn was brought in, they had him more as a bottom-line presence player at the NHL. I don't think there was any mindset if he's going to play in the AHL for us, but it didn't work out for Thorburn. They sent him to the American Hockey League, and that was a presence that still is a part of this Blues organization. But to your point, like, just think of all of the bottom six or even the fourth line options that they have now. You've got Ross Johnston, Nathan Walker, Alexei Toropchenko, Dylan Dubé, Jack Finley. Now you added an Oskar Sundqvist. I would put an Otto Stenberg at that point. You could probably play Pius Suter there on top of a Zach Dean, a Kaskamaki with these younger options. So one, you've done what Doug has always talked about, protected the assets so that they can continue to develop. But two, now you've got depth so that three injuries happen. You're not going to a Kaskamaki or a Dylan Peterson or a Zach Dean. You're going to an Oskar Sundqvist that can provide what Jim Montgomery wants. So I just, these are the smart moves that nobody really looks at now, but when we get to January and things are just really tough for the Blues with injuries, or they're fine. And developmentally, you've got Sundqvist working with these younger players in your minor league system.
Best case scenario, he doesn't see the ice for the NHL team this year. Worst case scenario, he's a adequate fourth line player for you.
100%. And we talk so much about how the Blues value that culture who resembles Blues hockey more than Oscar Sundqvist over the last 5 to 6 years. So that's who I'd want working with all my centers and wingers in the minor leagues.
Anytime he's had an opportunity to sign with somebody, he does it here.
Yeah.
It's like David Perron, right? Like David Perron never wanted to sign anywhere other than in St. Louis, and they kept sending him elsewhere, and David Perron kept saying, I want to be here, though. And so when it was his decision on where he wanted to land, he would land here in St. Louis. So I definitely think there's value in that. Alex, the other thing that I wanted to get to here on the NHL side of things, from Puck Marks over on Twitter over the weekend.
Puck Marks. Big fan of Puck Marks.
It's an analytics site.
Of course it is.
Estimated net wins above replacement by team.
Okay, hold on. Estimated net wins. So ENWAR. BT. Cool.
Yeah. A very well-known metric.
This is the one thing I know teams look at.
In other words, how much better are you or worse are you today than you were at the end of last year?
Okay, cool.
Yeah, cool. Based upon the players that have come in and the players that have left. And Alex, based upon that metric, nobody has improved less than the St. Louis Blues. In fact, they have the biggest drop in this metric among all teams in the NHL, -5 wins compared to the team that they assembled last year. Now, it's probably noteworthy no team has improved more than the Washington Capitals, who you traded one of your players to.
Also made like 5 signings this offseason.
Yeah. My guess is this model really loves Jordan Kyrou. Whether you agree with that or not, that is your own opinion to have, and it's fair either way. But Alex, do you agree with this assessment that the Blues have actually gotten worse by a larger margin than any team in the NHL?
No, and that should surprise absolutely nobody that I don't agree with it, but, you know, we'll find out if I'm proven right or wrong. I think this was all Jordan Kyrou. I mean, we talked about it in the offseason. Jordan Kyrou was an analytics darling last year. They just couldn't put the puck in the back of the net, which seemingly is very important for a team. So, to me, you moved off of a guy who was an analytics darling for 2 guys that I think probably aren't analytics darling in terms of Mason McTavish and Connor McMichael. So, like, you traded Kyrou and brought in McMichael and McTavish, who we've all talked about. Specifically, McTavish is a if situation, but I put 0 value in that because I don't know what those guys look like in this system. I don't know what Kyrou's going to look like in that system. To me, I go off of what you moved off of and what you brought in. You moved off of Shen and Kyrou and Falk and brought in Brandon Carlo, Mason McTavish, Connor McMichael. To me, those are different faces. It remains to be seen if they're going to be upgrades, but I think for the upcoming season, they resemble closer to what Jim Montgomery wants for his team.
I just can't believe that this is that much. You know how much I like Jordan Kyrou. I'm one of his biggest stands in St. Louis. The idea that you have downgraded this much from Jordan Kyrou to the depth that they've now been able to add to the group seems kind of crazy to me. And I say that again as a Jordan Kyrou defender and supporter. I have made the case that I'm not sure anybody's upgraded more than the St. Louis Blues this offseason. When you look at what they got on the blue line with Brandon Carlo, you look at the depth that they've been able to add in the forward group, as we've just been mentioning here. Even if you're not super high on their forward additions, the idea that they have downgraded more than any team in the NHL, if your model, that's what it spits out, I've said this before, then you need to check your model. See what you're missing here, because there's clearly something that has gone awry for you. I don't agree with this particular suggestion.
Mean, to look at this and say that they've downgraded the most in the National Hockey League when, like, the LA Kings lost a Hall of Famer at their center position, the Detroit Red Wings, now they have a guy on there, but they don't know what's going to happen there. But on top of that, like, I look at Seattle, I look at Calgary, all of these people. Minnesota lost 4 of their top 9 wingers this offseason. Anaheim lost 3 defensemen. And to say that the Blues downgraded the most in the NHL, that's just crazy to me.
It seems very strange. All right, alongside Alex and Bradford on BK, 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line. Questions and answers coming up next.
Start your day with the morning after on 101 ESPN. Get in the know first on everything St. Louis sports with Tim McKernan, Doug Vaughn, and Martin Kilcoy. Listen to TMA weekday mornings from 7 to 11 a.m. on 101 ESPN. The morning after is presented by Brown and Crouppen Law Firm. This is exactly where you want to be listening to us. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. You've got questions, we may have the answers. Maybe. It's BK and Ferrario's questions and answers on 101 ESPN.
From the 636, guys, if the Cardinals are in the exact same position at the trade deadline as they are today, meaning they're one game back of the final wildcard spot, who stays, who goes, what do they do? Man, that would be a fascinating spot for them at the deadline.
I think they sell at that point, and I think May and O'Brien are gone.
I think May goes. Newt is the one that I struggle with.
Yeah, he feels like just an off-season one for me. But maybe somebody comes to the table and offers a good deal because it's an outfielder and it's a left-handed bat.
And there's going to be I think there's going to be so few players available this year at the deadline. Just everybody's in it, man.
Yeah.
The only teams that truly feel like they're out of it today in the National League are the Reds, Giants, Mets, and Rockies. I don't know how many players those teams have that are potentially going to be available. And the American League, it's an even smaller list. It's the A's, the Royals, and the Angels. And again, those teams don't have a whole lot to trade. And most of the good players on those respective teams have club control for years to come.
Yeah.
So the Cardinals are in a really unique position to be able to offer a little bit of anything. Like if a team needs a starter and a position player, the Cardinals can provide. If they need a starter and a reliever, Cardinals can provide. So I think JoJo goes, I think Dustin May goes, and then maybe Lars Nootbaar in that scenario. I think they end up holding on to Riley O'Brien.
Yeah.
That would be my current prediction for this year.
Yeah. The only reason I bring that up is we were just talking about Jesus Baez, who was named the AA Player of the Month. Is that what it was?
Minor League Player
of the Month.
Cardinals organization.
That was the guy that they got for Ryan Helsley, and I completely forgot who they traded for him. And it's like, man, that was your closer at the time. And Riley O'Brien's got another year of control. He's shown the ability to be saves. He's an all-star. I just wonder how aggressive somebody gets for that player. And I know the Cardinals bullpen's in a weird spot, but it just feels like they're in that asset accumulation mode still. And what could you get for that guy at the deadline?
314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers from the 636. Guys, do you think Jordan Walker at 5.5 to 1 is smart money for the Derby tonight? I don't know that there is such thing as quote-unquote smart money by betting on the home run derby, but if you just want to put some money down to have some fun while watching it, I think that that's a perfectly fine way to go about it. But you can actually get it at 7 to 1 now on Jordan Walker. So that I think is even better.
I don't know if
I would go Bryce Harper at 9 to 1.
I would go Schwarber.
Schwarber's only 3 to 1.
Well,
he's
no,
the favorite,
I just would go with the favorite.
That's fair.
First timer, played out pretty well last year. If you think about Junior, he made that run, was the runner-up. Why not? Give it a shot.
Don't bet on Jordan, people. We just don't want him to participate. Maybe he'll have a last-minute back out, so he saves his swing for the second half.
I do like Harper at 9 to 1. I think that's a pretty good bet there. That would be
He's an old-timer, man. He's a Legends pick. You can't do that.
I know, but he's also, it's the home crowd. I think he'll feed off of that. And the fact that now it is pitches. Swings or pitches?
It's swings.
Okay.
Which is so dumb.
Instead of the timer, I think that will help a guy that's a little older in Bryce Harper's scenario.
I feel like I'm going to complain about the Derby tomorrow at some point.
From the 314, what grade would you give the Cardinals for going 7-7 in their final 14 games against the Braves, Cubs, and Brewers? B-? I
was thinking like a B. I almost said B+, because to me, you got the job done. I mean, yeah, you went 7-7, but between the Braves twice and the Cubs, you lost a total of 3 games. To me, that was much more important than that Brewers series.
Strong B, B-. When you think about the way in which basically, guys, you also had to cobble together 2 of those 3 games against the Braves after Leahy had his start obviously delayed, and then you only scored a grand total of 9 runs with 14 hits over those 3, and yet you still were able to come up with that particular series win. Pretty impressive.
I actually think I'm going to give him an A-.
Wow.
I just like, the more I look at it, like your bullpen was in shambles. Your pitching staff needed to be adjusted and pushed back, and you still found a way to win all 3 of those series. You're not winning the division. So, like, I can't judge them against the Brewers because you're not trying to win the division. You're trying to beat the teams that are in your stratosphere. I think I'd give him an A-. To be able to manage through that pitching staff and still win all 3 of those series is really impressive.
Pretty amazing, because coming out of the break, their schedule really opens up. You've got, I just mentioned, the Angels feel like they're one of the teams that are out of it. You've got them coming up in the second half. The Reds are one of the teams that are out of it. Get them coming up in the second half. If you're able to take care of business against Arizona, you could really put yourself on good footing for the second half of the season. All right, 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line from the 314. Guys, what are your expectations for Connor McMichael's contract? For those that have not seen, he officially got his arbitration date set. I think it's July 25th, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Alex, what are you anticipating on a contract? If they're going to get an extension done, it has to happen at some point in the next 11 days.
Yeah, and I think it will. I don't think this is going to go to arbitration. My guess is you're going to see something like 4 years, $5 million, 3 years, $4.5 million, something like that. I don't think you're going to break the bank, but the arbitration is just to set the date so that you know that he is your rights and you don't have to worry about any offer sheets or whatnot. I think this gets done probably within the next week. You just saw one today with Buffalo. Peyton Krebs got signed for 4 by $4.5, and he had arbitration set. So I think you're going to see somewhere between the $4.5 to $5 million range, and just comes down to how many years McMichael wants to sign.
I guess 4 by 5, something around there. But it might be more than we're expecting. Some of the analytics models have him closer to $6 million per year.
I can see it.
So don't be shocked if it comes in at a slightly higher figure than what we're currently anticipating. That's very much in play. 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line from the 573. Guys, which team has surprised you the most coming into the All-Star break? The Cardinals, White Sox, Mets, or somebody else that I didn't mention?
I mean,
it's hard for me to say somebody other than the White Sox.
Yeah,
I thought they were going to be maybe the worst team in Major League Baseball, and right now they're leading the division.
Yeah, and Eric Fetty's in their rotation. Like, I didn't expect that. But, I mean, the Marlins are another one for me.
It's a great answer.
I really didn't expect them to be this good. I thought they had a couple of really interesting pitching pieces, and I thought they had a couple of interesting offensive weapons, but I didn't expect them to be a team that's fighting for one of the wild card spots, so that would be my answer.
The White Sox would seem to be the no-brainer when you consider that Murakami has only played in 60 games for that matter as well, but still also in the American League, in spite of the injuries, in spite of the different things you can categorize. The fact that the Seattle Mariners right now are a game under 500. If you had told me that at the beginning of the season, I would have been alarmed.
Especially with their pitching.
Yeah,
I mean, their pitching's been great, and they're still fine. The crazy thing, because of the way that the American League is, they're only a game back. Like right now, they're a game back from their division, and they are the third wild card in the American League. But to Bradford's point, they're a game under 500. The Twins, a team that we've talked about as a seller all year long, they are currently, if the season ended today, tied for the third wild card spot. The Boston Red Sox, who were an abomination to the point where they fired their manager who won them a World Series, they have now won, I think it's 9 straight, Alex?
Yep.
And they are half a game out of the wild card right now. All of these teams still find themselves to be in it, despite pretty terrible starts to the season. All right, last question here from the 573. What is your craziest LeBron destination, and what is your LeBron prediction on where he will sign?
My prediction's always been Cleveland. That makes the most sense.
It sure feels like that's the likely destination at this point.
Craziest?
Let's go craziest within a realistic outcome, because it would be pretty wild for him to sign with the Utah Jazz. I don't think that's happening. I don't think there's any scenario.
Charlotte, there's a crazy one for you.
So a Denver, which is maybe in the realm of possibility, but far-fetched still.
I would go Minnesota. Minnesota would be a wild destination for LeBron. Just feels weird for him to end his career there.
Yeah.
But also, you look at it from a basketball perspective, I could understand it. Hey, I really want to play with Ant Edwards. The guy's unbelievable. I think I can win a title if I'm playing next to him. Okay, yeah, I get it. That makes sense to me, but it would be weird for LeBron James to finish his career in Minnesota.
San Antonio is one that keeps popping out. I don't even know if that's weird, but it would be surprising to the sense of I don't know if that's the spot I'd think he'd want to go in his last hurrah.
And I would feel crazy that he's playing alongside the next, different style of players, I want to say that at the front, but like the next dominant player in the NBA and Wemby, you could have him starting his career with LeBron finishing his career. I think that would be a really cool and poetic story.
I'd be rooting for him like hell.
That would be really enticing. I've said Cleveland for weeks now on end, but I have to tell you, Miami may be gaining a little bit of steam insofar as you need a ball handler, and
God,
still,
I hope not.
He's going to be ball dominant to an extent. Who else is handling that in South Beach?
There's just no shooting on that team.
I agree.
It doesn't make. I don't think in Miami makes any sense other than he wants to live in South Florida, which if he does, God bless him. I understand it. It seems like a nice place to live if you've got millions of dollars.
Everybody wants to.
We're golfing more and more, BK. You know this.
No doubt. If he wants to do that, though, just like stick in LA, go to the Clippers, or go to Golden State where you've got 100 different golf courses within 20 minutes from you.
Yeah.
That just feels like such a strange basketball fit to me, to go to Miami with Giannis and Bam, neither of whom are great shooters in their own right. And plus, LeBron, not a great shooter either.
Things didn't end that well with Pat Riley the first time around, correct?
Yeah, horrible. So that would be, to me, a lifestyle choice. Again, if you want to live in Miami, good for you. But it does not seem like that would be a basketball choice. And I hope that's not the way that his career comes to an end. All right, alongside Alex and Bradford, I'm BK. In 15 minutes, we'll get into NFL quick hitters. You've probably seen the list by now. ESPN.com putting out their top 10 NFL quarterbacks according to evaluators. We'll find out who number 1 is on that list in 15 minutes. But next, boy, everybody seems to love the Cardinals draft so far. What did we make of it over the weekend? We'll talk about that next year on 101 ESPN.
Get social with 101 ESPN. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, Threads, Blue Sky, and YouTube at 101 ESPN.
KXOS, WXOS, HD1 East St. Louis, 101 ESPN is driven by Brown and Crouppen Law Firm. They are St. Louis. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN.
Y'all are getting a winner. Simple and sweet right there, winner. I hate losing more than I love to win, so I'm going to come out there and play as hard as I can for you guys and show why the Cardinals drafted the best.
That was newest St. Louis Cardinal, first-round selection, 13th overall pick, Trevor Condon. No relation to Charlie Condon, high school center fielder from the state of Georgia. Alex, the Cardinals go with a high school position player with their first selection in this year's Major League Baseball draft. And it sure seems as though everybody loves him. Yeah. My response to the selection was, all right, who is this guy? Yeah. What can I learn about him? And so I did some research over the weekend. Keith Law loved it. Kylie McDaniel said it was maybe the steal of the draft.
Saw like 3 people mention steal of the draft.
He's been compared to a guy that we've seen a lot of. Here's Mark DeRosa on MLB Network after the selection.
He has a motor that rivals PCA. Here he is. He's going to set the tone with a triple. This guy absolutely flies. He's got a cannon in center field. Watch him start screaming halfway to third base to get the boys going. Oh, he's tough. You watch PCA in the outfield get it done. Yep. I don't know if Trevor's got PCA outfield, but I like the bat and the swing even better than Pete Crow.
As long as he's not a jerk like Pete Crow Armstrong, am I right?
Audio, by the way, courtesy of MLB Network. I don't know if you saw any interviews with him over the weekend. Yeah. He's got a personality. Well, there's no lack of flair.
Energy. And one of the clips that I keep seeing pop up with him is a swing, and he, like, milks the swing and flips the bat. Like, you want to talk about just charisma? Oh, dude, this dude is like seeping from it. Like he's like Mason Wynn style charisma, just with pop off the bat.
I'm good with that.
Times 5, maybe.
Yeah, that doesn't bother me one bit. Now it's a lot of self-belief, which is important, bordering on. Like, it's confidence bordering on cockiness.
Yeah, and you have to be good so that it's not cocky, because then people hate you.
Exactly.
Although if you're Pete Crow Armstrong, you can be good and people still hate you.
I think there's going to be some humbling that probably takes place within the minor leagues. We saw that with Joshua Baez, who was extremely confident when he came into the Cardinals system, got beat up a little bit for a couple of seasons. And now it's starting to turn around for him. So if Condon comes into the Cardinals organization and struggles over the first couple of years, just keep in mind that's to be expected. It happens. We saw the development path that it took for Joshua Baez. In a few years, maybe we see something similar for Condon. But enough of my opinion. Here is what Keith Law of The Athletic wrote about the Condon pick. His ultimate ceiling is going to depend on how much power he ends up with, and he's shown some juice with metal bats, but less when he goes to the wood bat. He has a leadoff profile, high on-base percentage is likely, modest power is the most likely outcome there. That's Keith Law's perspective on the selection. Kylie McDaniel, who I think is one of the best in the business from ESPN.com, wrote the following. I've been stumping for Trevor Condon for almost a year as a very high floor and high probability big leaguer from the high school class. He fits a similar category as the previous plant my flag guy from the 2023 draft, Kevin McGonigal. I wouldn't expect that kind of an outcome if I was a Cardinals fan, but both players were plus hitters with real defensive value, but shorter in stature. Condon is a plus runner with an intense personality. He has a strong ability to pull and lift the ball with a swing already, and he's a good defender in center field as well. He could be a low-end starter, but this sort of player is often underrated at this stage of his career. The list of shorter position players who blew their past projections out of the water to make all-star teams is quite long at this point.
Wow.
So people like it. They're happy with the way that they went about their first-round selection. And it wasn't just that, Alex. It was also what they did later in the draft, where they get a big-time right-handed arm from Tennessee, who could have seen the Cardinals drafting a Tennessee boy.
Georgia and Tennessee boy.
Yeah. Tennessee right-handed pitcher, college starter. Sounds as though this is similar to what they prioritized with Liam Doyle and Tanner Franklin from a year ago. Big velo, has a changeup that he needs to develop a little bit more. Potential for a mid-rotation kind of a starter. They then select Rocco Maniscalco, who is the youngest player, I believe, ever drafted in Major League
years
Baseball.
and 2 months old, they said.
He reclassified in order to be eligible for this year's draft. They believe that he's the kind of guy that a year from now could have been drafted even higher if he didn't do the reclassification. He's turning 17. He turned 17 rather in May. A legit shortstop, and every prospect profile that I have seen basically says, yeah, think about Mason Wynn, but like when he was a prospect.
What are you saying?
I said this on Friday, man. They're going to take a lot of shortstops, and everyone's going to think Wynn's going to get traded.
Keith Law's write-up, quote, plus defender, cannon of an arm, might be an 80 grade arm, which is the highest for anybody unfamiliar with the grading scale. Switch hitter, good bat speed, really struggled at the plate against high school competition this year, but expectations are that he's going to be able to continue to develop as he ages. Any worry about this meaning the beginning of the end for Mason Wynn, Alex?
Yeah, sure. In 7 years, when this kid's 24 years old, I'll start to worry about Mason Wynn, which checks notes. Wynn will be 30 by that time. So, no, anybody that is concerned of this being a problem. And guess what? I think we need one of those disclaimers on the lower portion of YouTube when we talk about the draft picks. Shortstop just means he's the best position player that can play any position. He might be a third baseman for you, might be a second baseman for you. Heck, could be an outfielder for you at some point. Maybe a pitcher. No, this has nothing to do with Mason Wynn and everything to do with, hey, if we're getting a guy at pick number 50 that next year could have been pick number 15, 18, 20, that's what you call a steal in a draft.
My guess is, by the way, this was possible because of the flexibility they had with their extra selections. I don't know how this is going to all play out with their bonuses. We talked about this on Friday. They've got so much flexibility, and the baseball draft is different than any other Major League Baseball or any other professional draft where it's not all slotted immediately. You can make promises, you can make guarantees to players, and then they can basically go to another team and say, don't draft me. I'm not going to sign with you. I'm signing with somebody else for more money than what you can offer me. I don't know if that's what happened here, but my guess is you'll see Rocco go above his slot in terms of what he's going to sign for with the Cardinals. And that is the kind of thing that is possible because they had like 6 selections in the top 75-ish.
Yeah, because you had those comp picks, and then it's like, okay, well, we can take a couple of chances and swings and see what happens.
Can we go big picture with the draft, Alex?
Sure.
Because it was obviously, based upon all of these reports, it's impossible to know. We'll know 5 years from now.
Yeah, maybe.
But based upon all of these reports, it seems like the Cardinals did pretty well.
Although we didn't talk about the best selection, which was Caden Ferrario, who's one vowel away from Ferrario, so it might become my favorite player.
I liked Clayton Freshcorn.
I did too, man.
Who was their final draft.
Wasn't it in the 19th round?
Final draft draft selection, and I do believe the expectation is he's going back to college, but
that checks out. 19th overall, or 19th round pick. I think you'd probably take your chances.
Why can't Major League Baseball do better?
What are you talking about, man? It did great with this. You didn't watch Peacock, then Netflix, then MLB Network? So you didn't spend all of your day when games were going on watching the draft?
Let's start with the obvious. You can't get the first player selected his name wrong. That's not great. Manfred, come on, man.
That's why you get Justin Bieber to get the name wrong.
Well, he also got it wrong.
Mr. McKenna?
We would like to draft you to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Okay, cool.
I'm a big Maple Leafs fan.
As you know as well, Alex, that took about 20 minutes to happen.
Well, you had to stand there and pose for all of the girls to scream
and then
for
they
Justin
had the
Bieber.
Schaefer conversation afterwards, which was basically, hey, man, how you doing?
Sup, dog?
So, yeah. The NHL draft was worse.
Yes, it was. But you know what? After that pick, it started to flow.
But Major League Baseball has to do better than this. First of all, the draft is like at the same time as some of these games that are taking place. That's stupid. Don't take away from this. That's dumb. And then the next day you had the futures game, again, taking place while teams in Major League Baseball were playing. So you take away from the futures game by having it go up against your Major League Baseball team that is participating on the field. This feels like something that should be pretty easy to get figured out, Alex. And maybe there are some unknowns for me that I'm not considering here. You've got the home run derby tonight. You've got the All-Star game tomorrow. As far as I'm aware, there is nothing in Major League Baseball on Wednesday, like a flat-out full off day across the sport. Why not play the futures game on Wednesday and have the draft that same day? And you could do like draft in the afternoon, game at night, or flip them where you go game in the afternoon, draft at night, depending on what you'd prefer to do if you're Major League Baseball. And so you would basically then say Tuesday is for the current stars in the game. Wednesday is for the future stars in the game. They get a spotlight unto their own. Why hide all of this stuff instead of actually putting it in a spot where it will get eyeballs, it will get attention, it will get the recognition that it deserves? What am I missing here?
Well, isn't it obvious? Front office wants vacation. They want to go to the Bahamas for a day or two before the season picks up. I mean, I'm 100% with you. The NHL drafts, to me, and I mean, I'm a nut with that, but it gets exciting because it's in the offseason. There's nothing going on. You just wrapped up the Stanley Cup final. You went from the excitement of the current game to the next future of the game. NFL does this as well. Like, you wait a little bit past free agency, past all of the signings and the trades, when it's a little bit more quiet, and you say, focus on this because this is the future. It's the one sport that makes zero sense to me because not a whole lot of people pay attention to the college realm of baseball or where these kids are coming from. So to do it in the middle of the day and a weekend when there's games going on, nobody wants to watch that. They're focused on the game. When you have Wednesday and Thursday of absolutely nothing this week, when it is a dry period, home run derby, all-star game, nothing, season picks back up.
Wednesday is like the worst day in sports television.
Yeah,
There's
nothing
happening.
So why not do it? And I would do it to the point of you do the draft on Wednesday, where daytime kicks off at 11 a.m. and it goes however long it needs to go. And at night is the futures game, to where you televise that on Netflix, Peacock, wherever you want to go with it, because you love picking and choosing when you're Major League Baseball. You focus on the all-star of the young players game. And in the middle of it, you're interviewing these kids that were just selected in the draft. So you're promoting the draft that just took place, and you're watching these affiliate players that are developing in your system. And guess what? Now I have home run derby, all-star game, futures game. I hit my 1 day to recover, and that's the day where you could do rounds 12 through 55, whatever you do in baseball. And then Friday, you go right back to it. But to answer your question, it's simple. Where's my time to go to Cabo? It's not there. So I need one of the days off, and then they do that.
Lindenwood Park Lunatic said, there's a World Cup semifinal on Wednesday, bozos. Yes, 1 out of every 4 years, you may have a slight scheduling conflict with the World Cup. But beyond that, there's nothing. Like, Wednesday is typically, literally, the worst day in sports because you have nothing. Normally, that's when the ESPYs are held because they know there's nothing going up against us tonight. We will be able to get a casual sports fan who's just like, hey, what can I watch? And they realize there's nothing on TV. I'll go ahead and flip on ESPN where I guess I can watch the ESPYs. That's the day that you would typically see that. Hey, Major League Baseball, take advantage. You have nothing to compete against. Go ahead and throw something on TV that would make sense. Hell, sell this to Netflix. Say, hey, Netflix, we would like to get the draft and the futures game on your coverage for this evening.
Yeah.
We want to make this into a legitimate event the way that we are with the Home Run Derby on Monday. So you get to be the home of the Home Run Derby and the home of the futures game / the Major League Baseball draft. See if they could do something with it that makes this into something bigger. I don't know if that would work out or not, but that's the kind of thing that Major League Baseball should be looking into. I think they completely missed the mark this weekend with the way that they handled their future players.
Promote the game, and the best way to promote the game is showcase the future of it. And to do that in the middle of a day where there's a draft and other games going on, that's just not the smart outcome if you're baseball.
Alongside Alex and T, Alex and Bradford, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Coming up next, NFL Quick Hitters here on BK and Ferrario.
You can now watch 101 ESPN live on our Air Alliance Team Studio Cams. Catch every show live on our YouTube channel or at 101ESPN.com. 101 ESPN Studio Cams.
Presented by the Air Alliance Team Heating and Cooling. Getting the job done quickly, correctly, 100% of the time.
Giving you the picture, the real big St. Louis sports picture. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN.
Have you seen the list, Alex? Have you seen the list from ESPN.com on the top 10 quarterbacks for 2026?
I have not, because I know when we have lists and you put them in the notes, I say I want to play the guessing game.
I'm so glad. Who do you think, according to ESPN.com, they do this each and every year. They reach out to a bunch of different executives, coaches, personnel people in the league. This is based upon their top 10 quarterbacks for 2026. Not if you were starting a team and for the next 5 years. No, for 2026. Who is going to be the best quarterback in the NFL, according to NFL coaches and executives, Alex?
I will put my money on Josh Allen.
Ding, ding, ding. I think that's correct.
I do too.
I don't think you can make a strong case right now that Patrick Mahomes has been the best quarterback in the NFL over the last 2 seasons.
I agree with that.
And you guys know how much I love Patrick Mahomes, and I would take him long term.
I can also defend Patrick Mahomes by saying haven't given him a whole lot to work with either.
I would argue the same thing for Josh Allen.
Yep.
Look at his receiving core. He has also not had as much to work with lately, and he's done better than Patrick Mahomes. Just flat out, he's been the better of the 2 quarterbacks. I can't make the case otherwise.
Yep.
Mahomes is number 2. I don't think we need to do the guessing game. Those are the top 2 guys.
Oh, shucks.
In my opinion, it's a tier of 2 at the top, and then it's the next group. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree.
Totally.
I wouldn't put anybody else in that group.
Any guesses on number 3, Alex?
I feel like it always comes to Lamar Jackson on this one, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say Matt Stafford.
You sure you haven't seen this list?
No, I haven't.
Matt Stafford, number 3 overall on this list.
So there was an argument for me to put him at 2, just because, like, if you're going off of projecting what next season is going to look like.
Oh, wow.
What he did in the roster that has been put around him, I could totally understand that argument. Okay. But, yeah, no, I promise I have not seen this list.
I do not agree with this assessment. I think Matt Stafford was awesome last year. He also has some of the best weapons and the best offensive coach in the NFL. If I put Joe Burrow in his spot, I think Joe Burrow would have looked unbelievable last year. If I put Drake May into his spot, I think Drake May would have been better last year than Matt Stafford was. That's not to take away from his greatness. He's awesome. The guy is ridiculously talented, but I think at number 3, that's a little overstating.
I just feel like when you're projecting of what he's going to do next year, I'm with you. He's got the best weapons. He's got the best coach. He's got the best situation. But as a quarterback, don't fault me for that. I'm going to put up the best numbers with what you put in front of me.
All right, so that's our top 3. Allen, Mahomes, Stafford. Number 4?
I would go Drake May here.
Okay. I will tell you this. They did not. Drake May for them is at number 8.
That's a freaking joke.
I think that's one of the worst rankings on this entire list.
They just gave A.J. Brown. They gave Drake May A.J. Brown on top of an offense where he was an MVP-esque player and did basically everything you could with nothing in front of him.
I had Drake May at 5. So I had him much higher than what the ESPN.com list had.
Yeah, I would put Drake May in this spot, but okay, so if it's not him, is it Joe Burrow?
It is. Joe Burrow comes in at number 4, according to the ESPN article on the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL, based upon their conversations with NFL executives and coaches. We have Allen, Mahomes, Stafford, Burrow. At number 5,
Jackson.
Lamar Jackson. At number 6, this is the one you're going to hate.
It's Jalen Hurts.
No. Hurts did not make the top 10.
Oh, thank God. That's one I'm going to hate. Oh, Dak.
Dak Prescott is number 6, according to NFL coaches, executives, and front office members.
No way I'm putting Drake May below Dak Prescott.
We're talking about regular season rankings, right?
Well,
because then you can justify it.
Well, this just who would you want as your quarterback in 2026? Who's going to be the best guy? Number 7?
No. For Dak, that is.
Herbert.
Herbert it is. Number 8 is Drake May, as we had mentioned. Number 9. We'll finish out the top 10 here in just a moment and give our thoughts overall.
Who am I missing on this one?
This is a tough one.
Is it Purdy?
Nope.
Nope.
Good guess,
Goff.
Though. Goff is number 9.
And then is Caleb Williams on this list?
Williams, number 10.
I was wondering if they were going to put
Alex
Caleb
saw
Williams.
The list.
I promise
there's no other way to look at this. Way. Alex saw the list.
I did not.
Doing Jared Goff at 9 tells me you knew what was here.
I didn't see the list.
Profit over there.
I didn't see the list. I'm just going off of where these guys are ranking.
Your top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL, according to ESPN.com's article. Number 1, Josh Allen. Number 2, Patrick Mahomes. Number 3, Matt Stafford. 4 is Burrow. 5 is Lamar. And then the bottom half of this list, Dak, Herbert, May, Jared Goff, and Caleb Williams. I'll tell you this, Alex, I put together a list of my own during the break just to see where I disagreed with it the most. I had Burrow at 3. I had Lamar at 4. Drake May I bumped all the way up to 5 and then bumped Stafford down to 6. And then I'm higher on Caleb Williams. I would have him at number 7 for me. And then Herbert, Dak, and yes, of course, Love at number 10.
Oh, yeah, he's not on my top 10
I can't possibly put Jared Goff into my top 10. That's insanity.
I could put Jared Goff above Jordan Love in my top 10 when I look at who he's going to be throwing the football to.
Yeah, that's
who's Jordan throwing the ball to this year?
That's crazy.
I know you love Jordan, man, but it's just not going to work out for him here. I think the two that I disagree with the most on this list is having Dak higher than Drake May and having Caleb Williams at 10. Because I think I would have Drake May at 4 or 5. When I look at this list, I'm fine with Matt Stafford up there. I can argue the Joe Burrow conversation, but I just look at what Drake May just did, and now he has A.J. Brown to work with. And Caleb Williams should be above Justin Herbert, in my opinion, should be above Jared Goff, in my opinion. I would have him probably 6th or 7th on this list.
Alex, you just mentioned my biggest question mark. It is, are we still doing this with Justin Herbert? We're still waiting. We're still now waiting for the pivot, which should come with Mike McDaniel as the OC. If we're talking about sheer tools, non-intangibles, tools, and physical talent, Justin Herbert is going to be in your top 5. But I am hard-pressed to include him in my top 10, let alone at the number 7 spot.
Who would you put in front of him, though?
My goodness gracious. I kid you not, I would have the likes of Brock Purdy, who's played in a Super Bowl.
Nuts.
I would have Jalen Hurts, who's 57 and 25 with 2 Super Bowl appearances and a Lombardi trophy.
If I put Jalen on that Chargers team and I put Herbert on the Eagles team, you think Jalen is outperforming him still?
The output, what we have on which to base these rankings, it has to mean something, right? Everything has been promise and upside with Justin Herbert. The fact of the matter has been he hasn't been able to get it done in the postseason to this point. That has to mean something.
Yeah, but you're going off a postseason. You're going off the regular season.
A little bit of both, right? Yeah. I would just if you're telling me I start my team and I'm only worrying about the 2026 season, I would not take Brock Purdy or Jalen Hurts over him.
No.
If I don't know who my offensive staff is, I don't know who my personnel is, I don't know anything, I'm just taking Justin Herbert over those guys. I do think Herbert can be a little overrated, but I think they pretty much nailed it. 7, 8-ish, that range is I think where it goes. You guys know me, I prefer to do the tier system as opposed to individual rankings. I think there's a top 2 in the NFL that have clearly broken away from the rest of the pack. And then to me, I would have Burrow, Lamar, Drake May, Matt Stafford in the next tier.
You wouldn't put Caleb Williams in that tier?
I would not just yet. I needed to see it for a little while longer, and I need to see some of the... He still puts the ball into harm's way too often for me to have him in the same category as those other guys.
And makes bad decisions at times. Yeah,
and then I would have Caleb in a conversation of his own, and then I would have Herbert, Dak, and Love in the final tier.
I agree with that tier.
Where is a healthy Jaden Daniels entering this coming season?
Probably
especially
in that
relative
tier
to
with
Herbert,
Dak, and Love to me.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
I think you could even put him into the conversation with Caleb.
I'd agree.
But I need to see him healthy, and that's a big question for him. Yep. He's just really small, tall, but I don't know how he's going to hold up over time. Yeah. But talent-wise, the guy's unbelievable.
Yeah, like Jaden Daniels can't perform the same way, in my opinion, that Drake May performed. Drake May has a lot of Josh Allen in him to where that dude will run the football if he has to get the first down, but now you're giving him weapons to work with. That's just the biggest snub on that list, in my opinion. There's no way that guy should be 8th. He should be worst case scenario number 5.
How is Lamar Jackson in the top 10, guys? That's from Wright City Hoss.
Because he's Lamar Jackson.
Multi-time MVP. Yeah. I mean, I have my questions about Lamar, and when we get to January, I will bet against Lamar, but the guy's still unbelievable. If you're telling me I could start a team today, there's only a few guys I'm taking over him to start my franchise. To be fair, I should probably go back. I think I would probably take Drake May over Lamar. I think I would flip those.
I would.
If I was starting a team today.
Is there anything that a Bo Nix can do? Now, you talk about the head coach.
No.
You talk about that defense to put himself closer to that range of the other celebrated quarterbacks from 2024.
Stop throwing picks, Bo.
No. I just don't think he's as talented as any of these guys.
I don't either.
Okay.
I don't think he has the talent. I don't think he has the production. I think he's a merchant of his own head coach.
Yep.
If not for the system, I don't think we would be looking... I think Brock Purdy is a better version of what he is in Bo Nix. I would rather have C.J. Stroud than Bo Nix. I would rather have Trevor Lawrence
Jordan Love
than Bo Nix. I agree.
And I dislike Jordan Love.
I would rather have Baker next year than Bo Nix.
I agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you disagree with that? Sam Darnold, I would rather have than Bo Nix.
Ooh. Well, I mean, he did win it all. You can't fault him for
that. That one hit a little deep for me. No, it's not that I disagree.
For 2026, if you had to take one of the two, who would you rather have?
I don't know if I would go with Baker over Bo Nix. I'm not even kidding.
I would take
We're
Baker
talking
over
about
Bo Nix.
interceptions galore in both cases.
Yeah, but Baker's got that.
Got that dog.
He got that dog in him. Yeah. Bo is so. I'd take Trevor Lawrence over Bo Nix.
Yeah, definitely.
I'd take
Daniels.
Jackson Dart over Bo Nix.
Okay, well.
Now that's just crazy.
No, that's not crazy. That's not crazy.
You got to my breaking point.
That's not crazy.
You could convince me of about, 16 quarterbacks.
I'll take Stetson Bennett over Bo Nix.
That offense is fun with Big Blue, Alex. It's fun. You've got neighbors coming back. Jackson Dart.
I'll take Kirk Cousins
Daniel
over
Jones
Bo
or
Nix.
Bo Nix.
Daniel Jones.
I would take Bo.
Daniel Jones.
Fernando Mendoza or Bo Nix? Who
Fernando
do you think
Mendoza.
you'd rather have as your starting quarterback next year? I would take Fernando.
Yep. I'll take Mendoza.
Every day.
We can keep playing this game all day, and Bo's going to be second on it. Find me a guy that I hate.
Kyler Murray.
Ooh, I'll take Bo Nix.
I'd rather have Kyler.
I wouldn't.
For this year.
Nope.
Definitely Bo.
I think Bo's got the ability to win.
I think
Kyler
Kyler's
doesn't
gonna
have
a
that.
good year, man.
I disagree with that. I think Kyler's going to be one of the worst quarterbacks in the league this year.
Jacoby Brissett or
That one I'll take Bo Nix on. As much as I dislike Bo, man, Jacoby Brissett's where my breaking point is.
Michael
Aaron
Penix
Rodgers or Bo Nix.
/ Tua.
I'll take Aaron Rodgers.
No, you won't. You're not allowed.
He can win me a football game.
I won't allow it.
He can win me a football game, unlike Bo.
Coming up next, what did we learn about the Cardinals during this stretch against playoff contenders? And what are we expecting from Jordan Walker in this year's Home Run Derby? We'll talk about it next year on 101 ESPN.
Need more blues talk? Check out the Last Minute Blues podcast with Alex Ferrario, Donnie Fandango, and Jeremy Rutherford on 101 ESPN. The guys bring you the latest news and notes on your St. Louis Blues. Watch or listen to the Last Minute Blues podcast on our YouTube channel or at 101ESPN.com. We want to hear from you. Use the Scott Lee Mic Drop feature on the 101 mobile app. Give us your opinion on anything St. Louis sports with a mic drop.
Brought to you by the Scott Lee Heating Company.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
Welcome. Good afternoon. I'm Bradford Bruns. Your Sports Center update is powered by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Tonight at 7, Jordan Walker takes his Hacks out east. Citizens Bank Park will host MLB's 2026 Home Run Derby. STL's right fielder, ex-Cardinal Wilson Contreras, among those participating. 101 ESPN's coverage begins right after our instant replay presentation. Draft-wise, Randy Flores and company completed their work yesterday. 24 selections overall, including first-round outfielder Trevor Condon, as well as Tennessee right-handed pitcher Tegan Kuhns. Hockey Blues GM Alex Steen confirms number 74's return. Oscar Sundqvist landing that one-year, two-way contract. He recorded 17 points last season. This SportsCenter update was supplied by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
We're right back to more of it. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN.
Excited for the home run derby, Alex?
No. And it's not even because Jordan Walker's swing's going to be broken and he's not going to be good after the second half. It's the stupid rules that MLB put in place. I hate this only 20 swings rule. To me, this is going to be a ton of dudes just standing at the plate taking pitches. And that is going to be as boring as all hell. Whereas what it is before with the clock, it's just guys swinging, and especially towards the last minute of it, you get into desperation mode where you're trying to hit as many home runs as possible. I think this 20 swings per batter is going to be very boring for the home run derby.
Bradford, you looking forward to it this time around?
I really am. Alex, a lot of pessimism coming from your direction
Monday,
in the last
Bradford.
10 minutes,
It's a
man.
Monday.
Hey, you know what? I would contend that the additional time here for the hitters maybe could allow them not to get into some bad habits with the mechanics and whatnot. No, I'm excited because if you're talking about, for instance, we've got some mic
I think
issues.
Bradford's mic just got unplugged. Push the knob in, Bradford.
Okay.
You're getting a little aggressive over there with the microphone.
This has happened in the studio a couple of times over the last few
Grab the
weeks.
microphone.
It's all good. I'm that amped up for the home run derby. But no, in all seriousness, when we talk about solely the field, BK, I can't think back to a year in which you had more in the way of names of stories. Not only Walker, obviously, you get to see Contreras in action. You've got the Philly tandem of Schwarber and Harper, plus Junior Caminero just last season, if not for the performance by Cal Raleigh, could have won the entire thing. He's coming back. He has the best bat swing average-wise in the major leagues. I'm ready for it, no matter how long it takes.
I hate the timer thing, the lack of timer. I'm with Alex in that front. 20 swings in the first round, 15 in the next two rounds. Each swing will count toward the player's allotment, whether it's a homer or not. There are no outs in this scenario. That's not what it used to be in that regard. It's also not a timed round. There's also no bonus round. There is no bracket for the first round. The tiebreaker will be the home run distance in that first round, and then a 3-swing swing-off for the second and the third round. What was so bad about the timer?
Nothing.
The timer made it feel like there was urgency to things.
There's desperation when you're down by 5 and you've got 45 seconds to go.
Now it's about taking the right pitch, making sure you get your best swing off every time. I think what we will come away with, and I know Jeff Passan said something similar earlier today on ESPN, I think we're going to walk away from this thinking to ourselves, best thing for that was the timer, actually. Maybe there are ways to improve it. There may be changes that are necessary for the Derby, just as there are for just about anything, right? Just because you've done it this way doesn't mean that it's the right way. But I thought that was the lesson we had learned last time around. Right. Like, why we went to the timer to begin with was because it was too slow and it became a slog and it was like, oh my God, can you please swing the bat? You'd go a minute between guys swinging to get the best pitch possible to hit a home run. So I don't know, man. I do think there's going to be something left to be desired. I love the people that are participating.
Oh, yeah, it's a great
they
group.
got some real star talent here. They've got the old school guys with Harper and Schwarber. Contreras is, this is the back end of his career at this point. He's having a great year. I love that he's a part of it. You've got the young guys with Kaggs and Jordan Walker.
And Murakami,
and then you've got Murakami, who's coming in. He's maybe the face of the biggest surprise of Major League Baseball this year with the White Sox. I love, and Caminero I should have mentioned, along with Kaggs and Walker. The participants are great. I just don't like the format.
I'm not great at math, so this is going to be dangerous. The most they could do is hit 20 home runs.
Yes.
I hate that. And I don't know how often. I'd have to see the numbers in terms of how often these guys hit more than that. But, I like the idea of somebody doing, and this was 20 years ago, but when Bobby Abreu was in it, where the dude was just, mashing home run after home run. Frankly, if you don't like the timer, go back to the 10 outs rule. And I know people didn't like that.
Just for context, Caminero hit 21 in the first round. That was the high. And then it was 19 and 18 were the highs for each of the rounds.
So maybe 20 is just not there anymore. But I like the desperation of the final 30 seconds, and I like the bonus one, too, to where it adds 30 seconds if you hit a certain distance, to where it feels like it's attainable to anybody, rather than with 20 swings. The fact that I'm going to be watching this, and there's going to be guys that are down by 15 that are just going to sit there and just take pitch after pitch after pitch, and it's going to be boring as all hell.
From a viewing experience, I totally get what you mean. But also think about the rate at which players just got gassed in an instant, in a hurry, okay, moving forward, not just for this year, but moving ahead into the future. Do you think you'd be able to attract the same caliber of talent under the now old rules? Because I think being able to basically pick and choose your pitches now, that lends itself to being a bit more player-friendly, this format. And as a result, maybe your field is beefed up accordingly, because make no mistake about it, this is clearly for the benefit of the players involved. I'm not talking about viewers.
I disagree.
Really?
I think this was a Netflix decision. I don't think this was a player thing. And I don't think that we had any issue getting the best players previously. Right, last year, it was Cal Raleigh, who was one of the stories of the season that ultimately won it. Junior Caminero was one of the best young players in baseball, along with O'Neal Cruz. You had James Wood in that thing, Matt Olson, who's one of the best home run players in baseball. This has not been an issue for Major League Baseball. They don't have the same issue with the home run derby that the NBA, for example, has with the slam dunk competition, where they can't get guys to come participate. A couple of years ago, Bobby Witt Jr., Jose Ramirez, Marcell Ozuna, Pete Alonso, Gunnar Henderson were involved with the home run derby. They've been fine when it comes to participation. They're just trying to find the right format to be able to sell to the respective networks, or in this scenario, to Netflix, the streaming platform.
Sure.
This was a pure, according to what I've read, a pure Netflix decision on what they wanted for this year's format. I don't think it was the right choice. I think they messed up. I think they're going to look at this afterwards and decide the old format was better. Now, I reserve the right to be wrong on that.
Right.
We may watch it tonight and say, oh my God, they solved the home run derby and everything went so much better than I expected it to. That's entirely possible. But my prediction going in is we will walk away saying, oh yeah, now I remember why they decided to go to the timer.
I just feel like baseball, you always want organizations to adapt and to try new things, to get creative and come up with something interesting, like the pitcher's challenge and the challenge that we have right now for pitches. I like that, but that's them getting creative. This feels like every year you're just changing the rules again for the home run derby, and it's like, man, it worked so well last year. I never had a problem when it was the 10 outs rule.
I would rather them go to pitches than swings, because at least if you go with 30 pitches, if their goal is to get 20 swings off, at least then you are disincentivizing guys to wait every time. Now I'm getting all of those as swings, right? Yeah. If hey, I've only got 30 pitches to play with, you might see a guy, it's entirely possible that somebody gets 50 pitches tonight to be able to take 20 swings. I don't think that's good for anybody.
Not
It's just
ideal.
it's just boring.
And I think the reason that they're doing that is because Netflix will probably, my prediction, Netflix will have a split screen where half of it will be them interviewing somebody while a guy is out there taking the swings. And so they will have as much emphasis on those interviews and some of the other stuff going on during the broadcast as they will what's actually taking place with the home run derby. And I don't think that's necessarily great for anybody involved.
Because we know you already have multiple panels, right? The likes of which are going to have bonds, pools, et cetera. And then so much of a big deal has been made about the presentation, the 28 cameras and so forth. But you do run that risk of a crazy amount of filler time, no doubt.
Alongside Alex and Bradford, I'm BK. Who do you guys have as your winner? The odds for tonight's home run derby. Schwarber's at 3-1, Caminero at 4-1, and then you've got Murakami at 6-1, Cags and Walker both at 7-1, Harper at 9-1, Ben Rice at 10-1, and Wilson Contreras is the least likely to win this thing at 12-1 odds. If you had to bet on somebody, Alex, who would your bet be?
Mine would be Schwarber. I think I know he's the favorite, but I think he gets it done in Philly.
I'll go with Caminero spoiling the
2 for
hometown
2.
guy Schwarber in the finals. I'm not saying that back issue is going to pop up again, but just give me the youngster. He's been on such a heater. How could you go against him?
I'd go Bryce Harper, 9-1 at home in his home ballpark. I think this is a potential celebration of Harper in Philadelphia. So I'll go Bryce Harper at 9-1 as my best bet going into tonight's home run derby. By the way, you can hear that right here on 101 ESPN starting tonight at 7 o'clock. So if you want to hear it on the radio or you don't have Netflix maybe and you just want to hear the coverage, check it out on 101 ESPN. It's free to you right here on your home of the home run derby this evening in St. Louis, 101 ESPN. Coming up next, time for the junk drawer here on BK and Ferrario.
The weekend MLB doubleheader Saturday. Yankees and Dodgers. First pitch at 7:08. Then Sunday it's Game 2. First pitch at 6:20. The MLB plays on 101 ESPN. is exactly where you want to be listening to us. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Let's open it up. The Junk Drawer is presented by Bet365. With Bet365 early payout, you win even if they lose. Get paid out instantly when your team goes up big, even if they blow the lead later. Bet365. Winning is everything.
Alongside Alex and Bradford on BK. Time for the Junk Drawer. Alex, what do you have for us today?
So, guys, we have 5 more months, basically still half of the year before 2026 is over, and I have found the video of the year. I don't know if you guys saw this. There was a video going around over the weekend of a massive bison that charged a Yellowstone tourist who stopped to take a picture and flung him, no joke, about 7 feet in the air. And I think the guy is still at a hospital. I think he's in like critical condition. Like, I don't know like where he's at. He was 65 years old and this thing charged at him and he went flying higher than the tree that was standing right next to him. This is why I don't go outside.
When you saw this video, and Bradford, I'm curious your thoughts on this as well. What was your first thought? The first reaction, gut reaction when you saw the video for the first time? Because I had one thing that immediately came to mind for me, and I'm curious.
I just thought the guy was dead. I'm like, there's no way you survived that.
One word, horror.
I thought it was AI.
Really? I didn't think that.
I didn't think that it was real.
I get it, though. I get it.
Yeah. We have arrived at a place, and there was some other stuff going on the internet this weekend that people thought was AI.
What was that?
Get into that in our politics podcast. When I saw this the first time, I was like, there's no way that's what happened here.
Oh, see, I was like, oh, yeah, that could happen.
What do you do? Like, he didn't seem like he was close to the bison. He was pretty far away, and the bison, like, charges him.
Yeah.
And then he's trying to run away from the bison, hiding behind trees. The bison, like, runs into a tree at one point in time in this video.
Yeah, they were playing legit hide and seek around that massive tree.
Yes, and the guy just, he couldn't hide any longer because this, 65-year-old grandpa, not exactly ready to run away from a bison who's going to run, I don't know, God only knows how fast. And so he ultimately gets upended by this thing and flies 8 feet into the air.
I just like the moment the bison did like 2 rolls to try and get back on its feet was the moment it's like, oh, bleep, this thing's coming at me. I don't know what you do. Like,
are you supposed to get big against a bison? Like, I know the bear.
Yeah, I think that's a mountain lion too, right?
There are certain bears that you're supposed to try to get big and make yourself feel scary. Yeah. There are others that you're supposed to just run like hell from.
I mean, I have to imagine it's like a bull, right? Like, to where, what do people typically do when they do that, right? Like, you just have to get away from it somehow. I don't know how, though, especially when you're in Yellowstone and you're walking. But, like, what's even more frightening about that is, like, people just drive through Yellowstone. Like, you're just casually driving. Like, that bison comes at your car and flips it over. What do you do? Like, I don't get it, man. I just do not get it. This is, again, why I don't like to go camping or anything like that, because God only knows when this could happen to you.
I know it's a strong... Bison do not see well. Well, clearly.
Well, yeah. He did a couple of turns around the tree first.
Strongest bone in the body, yes, but if you emerge with only a broken femur from that incident, pretty lucky.
I mean, I guess what you do in that scenario, if bison don't see well, and I didn't know that, is I think rather than run in circles, I run in a straight line and hope I can get away from it. Or maybe zigzag it.
According to the Catalina Island Conservancy, never approach, touch, or attempt to feed a bison.
Well, we learned that from that video.
Be alert in low visibility areas. Stay out of a bison's way. Be in the habit of planning escape routes and look for objects to hide behind. This guy did everything right.
And it just found him.
Slowly retreat from the bison, showing signs of stress or agitation. I mean, he did everything that they would say.
I guess I just wouldn't run around the tree, the same tree, right? And maybe make your options a little bit more out there. I don't know. There was a truck that drove by.
Cover behind nearby trees or cars.
There was a car that drove by, like a truck, at the moment that he was running. I think I would have jumped into the bed of that truck and been like, go, drive for it. This thing's coming at me.
That's what the nature get the horns.
Somebody said bison are able to run 35 to 40 miles per hour.
Imagine that. Coming at you.
This is why I like Yellowstone. People have said, like, because my parents went to Yellowstone, people have said, like, you've got to check it out. I have zero interest in that. I don't need to get that close to an animal.
Big Sergeant C, if it's brown, lay down. If it's black, fight back. If it's white, say goodnight. That's right. If it's a polar bear and you're next to it and it's coming at you, you're done.
Also, why are you by a polar bear, man? What are you doing?
Fair question.
What are you doing? Why are you by any bear? But at least some bears are out in the woods. Where are you at where your polar bear's coming close to you?
Yeah, what we learned in this one, if you are by a bison, I don't have a good pun for it.
If you buy a bison, bite back.
I don't know.
Basically, you should carry a saddle with you, and if a bison comes at you, you got to like find a way to throw it on its back and then just hop on it and ride the bull.
It's not that different than the Badlands guys in South Dakota, and that's why I never got out of the car, or at least very little during that trip a few years ago.
People like go camping here. Like, what's wrong with you? Bad idea.
I don't know what you're supposed to do here, but
accept the fate. Lean into it.
Can you imagine if that's how you die?
It's kind of badass if you think about it. Like, how'd you die? Well, I got charged by a bison in Yellowstone and it flung me 8 feet in the air.
Does it change if you're in your 60s too or 70s?
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. Like this dude took that and he's probably going to be okay.
Splashback Deuce over on YouTube. Did he ask it to please stop? He probably should have.
If you're by a bison, say bison.
Did you get that from Splashback Deuce?
No, that's what I was. No, Cold Meatloaf was the one that put it in.
Alongside Alex and T. Man,
now everybody's doing it. Now,
15 minutes. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. We will get into a game of in or out. But next, the full Brendan Donovan deal is officially complete. What do we think of the return they were able to get for their former second baseman? We'll talk about that next year on 101 ESPN.
The Redbird Report, your front row seat to all things Cardinals. From the dugout to the diamond, BK and T-Bone go deep with the latest news, notes, and analysis. Watch the Redbird Report on YouTube or listen online at 101ESPN.com. WXOS, WXOS HD1E St. Louis, 101 ESPN is driven by Auto Centers Nissan. Over 1,000 vehicles in one location. They are St. Louis. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN.
Alex, the full Brendan Donovan deal is now in the books. We did not know what the Donnie deal would ultimately be because they had a couple of comp picks that were added into the mix. So we knew what some of the prospect haul was, and so far it's looked pretty good in that regard. Jurangelo Cijntje over the weekend was officially promoted to the AAA level. He was, I would say, the headliner in this deal, the pitcher from the Seattle Mariners. They also got Ty Pete, who, when healthy this season, has been performing quite well for them, but he's still a ways away. Over the weekend, though, the Cardinals were able to draft two more prospects as part of this deal that ultimately sent Brendan Donovan to the Mariners. And they, with those selections, were able to get Andrew Williamson, an outfielder, and Dawson Montesa with the 72nd and 68th overall selections, respectively. Alex, when you look back at what the Cardinals did with the Donnie deal in particular over the offseason, how do you think it's aged?
I mean, I think it was a successful trade. And I depending on what these picks become, and it seemed like they were pretty high on these guys that they selected, to me, that's a haul. I mean, you've brought in, 4 pieces total for Brendan Donovan. One of them, you're already seeing the results in terms of Cijntje's strikeout numbers. Now, I know the ERA is a little bit higher, but he's got the ability to strike guys out, which is what you would want. You get a guy who has swing and miss that can be middle of the rotation, and he's already making his way to AAA for this Cardinals team. You've got Ty Pete, and then you add in 2 more players that were selected in the top 100. So, I mean, a lot of this will ride on what these guys do at the major league level, because we've seen what Brendan Donovan is when he's healthy for Seattle. I still look at this as, man, you've got 4 pieces for a guy that just did not fit into the timeline of where the Cardinals were at. So to me, that's what I would call a haul for Brendan Donovan.
I would as well. I think you got basically as much as you could have asked for. You've got somebody now that is at the high levels of your minor league system when it comes to the pitching side of things with Cijntje. You've got a lower level lottery ticket prospect in Ty Pete, who when healthy has shown every tool you could ask for as an outfielder. Colton Ledbetter was a bet that they made. It hasn't worked out thus far, and maybe it never will. But now you add in 2 more. And importantly, with this year's draft, you got flexibility with your bonus pool because of those picks, to where even if it's not Williamson or Montesa that ultimately become really good big leaguers, maybe one of the guys that you were able to get either before or after them with some of the bonus pool money, they become really important pieces for you. That's something to keep in mind as well. But it was a 5-for-1 deal, effectively, is what this was. And the Cardinals, a lot of that was a bet on J.J. Weatherholtz. Like, you can't overlook that part of the conversation, because, yes, you could have had both Brendan Donovan and J.J., but their best positions, it seems like, for both of them is second base. That's what Donnie ultimately landed at, and it seems as though, in talking to some people around the club, that's probably not only where JJ is now, but it's where he's going to be long-term for the Cardinals, which makes sense given how great he has been defensively. If that was the plan, and they said, hey, we can get basically Brendan Donovan level production for this year, and we believe something better than that long-term, for less money than Brendan Donovan, at a younger age than Brendan Donovan, with J.J. Weatherholt, and we can add to our system with Cijntje and Pete, Ledbetter, Williamson, Montesa. 10 out of 10, no notes. Yeah. It's a deal you have to make every time.
Yeah. I mean, we had a lot of pushback when we were talking about trading Brendan Donovan because of the style of player that he was and how he felt like he was the DNA of what the Cardinals wanted to be. And I totally understood it, because it was a guy that was easy to fall in love with. But when you looked at the realistic perspective of where the Cardinals were going, there was no sense to just stick with Brendan Donovan, because he was that player that's to help you win now, and you just weren't in that position. Now, hindsight is 20/20, and I know people look at it now and say, well, he'd be perfect for third base. But I think the bigger picture is more important. The need to have Senja and the flexibility to get all of those other assets with the future of your team and replacing Donovan with a younger version that matches your timeline, it just makes the most sense in the world. And frankly, it's kind of why I feel they should move on from Lars Nootbaar this offseason. Now, different player, and he doesn't have the same results that Brendan Donovan had, but I do feel like when you look at the offseason, this upcoming offseason, I think they should go 2 for 2 and look at Lars Nootbaar and say, let's see what we can get for this package to add into the group of our players.
Is that because you heard what Ryan Ludwig had to say about Joshua Baez over the weekend?
I always said back in the day, we would talk about him, and I said we could be looking at like a Mike Stanton type player. You know, this guy has elite power, and he's done it himself. You know, he's done it himself. He's put the pieces together, and what he's doing this year after last year, you know, last year he kind of broke out, and then he's backing it up, and sometimes it just takes guys a little bit longer to click, and what he's doing right now, I think he's showing the world who Josh Baez truly is, and he's put himself in a position to be quite possibly one of the elite power hitters in the game.
I mean, anytime that you can compare a guy to Giancarlo Stanton, that's going to raise my eyebrows.
Mike Stanton's an incredible pitcher back in the 90s.
Mike Stanton was Giancarlo Stanton's name in 2010 and 2011.
Well, I just Googled Mike Stanton, and he was a lefty that pitched for the Yankees back the 2000s and finished his career in 2007 with the Cincinnati Reds, a career 3.92 ERA with 68 wins.
Yeah, it seems like that's unlikely to be the player that they were comparing Joshua Baez to. By the way, that audio courtesy of Cardinals Territory. You can check out that full interview with Ryan Ludwig over there.
It's not the reason that I said it with Lars Nootbaar, but it makes a whole lot of sense. It's the thing that I've said for the last couple of weeks. This is what the rebuilding does, and I know it's not ideal when you're winning like you have been and in a playoff position, but I think it's the easiest way to sell to fans of, yes, we have these pieces and they're fun and we're close to being a playoff team, but look at what the future is. Joshua Baez is going to be a left fielder for us, and we hope he does become Giancarlo Stanton. You know, we're going to have Reynel Rodriguez in our system. We're going to put Quinn Matthews into our rotation. Somebody just said on the text line that it was a bad move to move Donovan because he fit in the timeline perfectly. He did, but getting a guy like Senja back in return makes your rotation better in the next couple of years. And that's what was more necessary for the Cardinals rather than just having a Brendan Donovan on your roster.
Yeah, I would have liked to have Brendan Donovan, but it's a 1-for-5 deal.
Yeah.
You know, and this team was not expecting to be a contender this year. No, clearly. Otherwise, they would have kept Sonny Gray. They didn't get much back for Sonny Gray.
And they would have kept Wilson Contreras.
At least Contreras, like, where's he playing for you? You know,
I mean, I guess fair, but
like Donnie, you had a spot. You chose to move on because you weren't contending this year. Mm-hmm. Sonny, you have a spot in your rotation for him. Like, you could just put Matthew Liberatore back into the bullpen if you wanted to, and you could have Sonny Gray at the front end of this rotation, and you're a better team with Sonny Gray than you are without him. But it wasn't just about that. It was also, okay, let's get some young guys opportunities in. Let's go ahead and recycle this for something that can go into our system. That's what they did with Donnie. They got Senja, Pete, Ledbetter, Williamson, and Montesa. That was the goal with that deal. So now you have J.J. Weatherholt leading the charge in that regard. And hopefully Joshua Baez can be another guy that does that for you. I will be very curious in the second half, Alex, in terms of how they handle this thing. It has not been a good 30 or so days for Nathan Church. He just is not producing offensively lately. And if that continues coming out of the break, I do wonder if even if they don't trade Lars Nootbaar, if they consider for the stretch run, hey, against left-handed pitchers in particular, but occasionally against righties as well, do we go with Nootbaar in center field and Baez in left and just see what it looks like? Find out how that works for us and then kind of move the pieces together. And basically Baez becomes in left field what we've seen them do quite a bit lately with a guy in, God, why am I blanking right now? Nelson Velasquez, who's been getting a lot of those starts in left field lately against left-handed pitchers. So could you see something similar with Joshua Baez soon?
Yeah, I mean, it would be a move that would kind of resemble what the Cardinals have done a lot of putting guys into a position. I just don't know if they're going to want to do that in terms of the center field, even if Church isn't hitting. I don't know if they'll view it as, well, Baez can play center field or we want Nootbaar in center field. Maybe they do, and
They've trusted Newt there lately.
Yeah, I would imagine you want to keep him healthy, And putting him in center field is going to affect that. But I guess if for something like that did happen, well, now you've got Joshua Baez to play, and you could put Nathan Church back in the outfield. So I do think because they've done this, we've talked about it enough with Blaze Jordan, with Nelson Velasquez, with Jimmy Crooks. If you're not hitting, they value the bat. And I do think that Baez has done enough to earn the opportunity to play at the major league level. So if you come out of the break after a little bit of days off and some relaxation and you're still not hitting, I could see him just turning to Baez and saying, all right, you're here. We'll let you play even through the deadline. If you look like you're working, more incentive for us to listen on Newt Bar now.
STL Chris says, platoon Baez? No. Not so much what I'm saying. Like, I think you can make it work with all of these spots in your outfield. I should have said that better, where Newt Bar against lefties can play in center field. And then on other days, you give guys an opportunity to be at that DH position. So you'd have to work around when Ivan Herrera is at catcher versus DH, and then there's some platooning stuff that goes into this. Maybe you get Newt a day off each week, as he has been lately as well. There are ways that you can go about it, I think, to make it work. And maybe the day after he's in center field, he gets the day off. That kind of a thing, right? And then the next day, it's Baez in center and Velasquez against a lefty in left field. Yeah. It gets a little complicated. It's not an easy job for Ollie Marmol to manage, but that's what you got to do if you're going to be able to get the opportunities that are necessary for a guy like Baez.
Yeah, and when you get him up here, you find ways to make it work. He's done it really well all season long by putting guys into position and finding spots for him. You just go into it for one more guy that's a part of your core moving forward.
Alongside Alex and Bradford on BK. Coming up next, 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line for in or out here on BK and Ferrario.
The Spread Zone, where sports betting meets reckless optimism, questionable logic, and the occasional stroke of genius. With hosts Anthony Stalter, Tim McKernan, and Scott Rizzuto. Check out the latest from the Spread Zone at 101ESPN.com or the 101 mobile app. The Spread Zone is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. the picture. The real big St. Louis sports picture. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Come on, man. Are you in or are you out? It's in or out with BK and Ferrario.
For 399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for in or out. Before we get to that, the National League starting lineup for the All-Star Game has been announced. Kyle Schwarber will lead off and be the designated hitter. After that, it is Juan Soto in left, Freddie Freeman at first, C.J. Abrams batting cleanup and playing shortstop. Max Muncy is at third base. Ozzie Albies is at second. Brandon Marsh in right field, of course. Andy Pajes in center. Drake Baldwin will be the catcher, and Christopher Sanchez will be starting on the mound. A lot of Philadelphia flair in this All-Star Game, Alex.
Love it. Love it.
Schwarber, Marsh, Sanchez, all starting for the National League. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for in or out. You guys give us a scenario. We will tell you if we are in or out here on BK and Ferrario. All right, Alex, let's start out with this one. In or out, the St. Louis Cardinals will make the postseason this year?
I'll say out. Because I don't think when they're sitting at the deadline, they're going to be sitting in a wild card spot. And I think the organization will look at this as, we're going to do what's right for the future, which people may not like. I still think they fight and are in it the rest of the way, but I think they'll fall short, so I'll say out.
Bradford?
I'm with you there as well. Out. I think that basically, depending on what happens immediately after the break, if you come out and you are able to thrive during a gettable stretch, maybe you change the expectations, but you're 5 games over 500 now. I don't envision a scenario in which you can't play basically along that same rate the rest of the way, but I think you narrowly miss out because you're not adding. If you're doing anything, you're subtracting just a bit.
I'm out. I wish I could say I'm in, but I'm out. I think the rest of the National League, we've seen these other teams that are more incentivized to get there. Like, if Arizona decides to buy at the deadline, San Diego, I would assume, is probably going to buy at the deadline. And the Marlins, like, they just have great pitching, man. They've got something that you don't have, and that's more stable. So I'll say out. I hope to be wrong. Alex?
Guys, in or out, by this time next season, if there's baseball, the Cardinals will have 2 more players under a long-term contract extension.
Say out, I think it's 1, but I could see how you'd get there. Like, I think there's a case to be made for potentially, if Baez is great immediately, you could make a case to sign him to a long-term extension. You could make the case for Rainiel Rodriguez to get that deal. And then among the guys that are already here, Walker certainly fits into that criteria. Alec Burleson, Ivan Herrera could be other guys that you could throw in there. So I'll say out, but I understand the rationale behind it.
I will go in because we only need more than 1. Earlier in the show, we obviously heard from Build With a Third about how one domino basically went down in the form of J.J. Weatherholt last Friday. Multiple individuals to go. Give me 2. Let the optimism reign supreme on a Monday.
Yeah, I'll say in. I say you get Burley done maybe at the beginning of the season, and then in season next year leading up to the trade deadline or that All-Star break, we see another deal like this Weatherholt one with whomever you think it could be. BK just gave you the list of them.
All right, gentlemen, the starting lineups and starting pitchers for tomorrow's MLB All-Star Game have been revealed. No Miz, no Skeens, but it's going to be Philly's own Christopher Sanchez, BK, as you stated, versus Dylan Cease for the first inning at least. In or out, one of these 2 will have a Cy Young Award at season's end. Sanchez or Cease?
I don't think Cease will end up with it.
It's an easier path in the AL.
I was going to say, I feel like the path's a lot easier in the AL.
Really is. By the way, how is Sonny Gray not an All-Star? Not saying you would have accepted the invite. The primary competition right now in the American League, you would have to say Sonny Gray and Cam Schlittler, right?
Yeah, I think Miz wins it in the National League. And I will say Cease does not get it in the AL, so I'll say out. Neither of them end up getting it. I think Mizorowski, like barring something unforeseen, I think he's going to win the Cy Young.
Yeah, Miz to me is the clear-cut one that's going to get it. The AL, I kind of agree with Bradford. Like, it feels like it's a little bit easier of a path, but do I believe Dylan Cease is going to stay on this pace the rest of the season? I don't, so I'd say out.
I underestimated how great he's been, by the way.
He's been awesome.
He's striking out the world. Fielding independent is extremely low. This is what people said, like, hey, the stuff is there. It's just a matter of getting more out of his arsenal. So he could win it. I'll bet against it, though.
Remarkably, he is a first-time All-Star, guys. I will go in if in any event we know it's coming out of the American League East. The guy is coming out of the AL East.
Yeah, well, I forgot about Cam Schlitter. He's been awesome.
Yeah,
so that's going to create a little bit of a competition on that front.
314-399-9646. That is the Air Comfort Service text line for in or out. You guys give us a scenario. We will tell you if we are in or out here on 101 ESPN. From the 636, guys, in or out, we will see at least one more Blues player traded by August. Let's say by the end of August.
Yeah.
So that basically takes you up to training camp.
My gut would say in because they've got like 17 dudes for 14 forward spots, but they also could just look at this as, hey, we'll send guys through waivers, and if they clear, they'll go to the AHL. So I'll still say in. I think they're going to try and make another move. I just don't know who, and I don't know for who.
This is a tough one. I mean, it's a new era from a front office standpoint in the sense of Alex Steen obviously taking over and making the ultimate decisions. At this point in time, I'd have to say in because the math simply doesn't math. At some point, you have to make a transaction, you would think, via the trade.
I still think Nikishin makes a lot of sense for them.
I do too.
But there's like no buzz on that right now, nor would I expect there to be. This is the dead time of the year. So I'll say in just because I think a deal like that makes a lot of sense for them. And if it's going to happen, I would say it probably has to happen before September.
Look, right now, I could tell you the 14 forwards, and I don't think there's any controversy with it. I think Pius Suter's an extra. I think Nathan Walker's an extra. And I think Berggren's in the lineup on that third line with Neighbors and Dvorsky. And you got Johnston, Finley, and Toropchenko. But I didn't mention Dubé. I didn't mention Stenberg. And Stenberg's obviously one that would make sense that you can clear waivers with. And if you bring in Sundqvist, you're at least making it a competition to see if he can earn the spot. So they're going to, in my opinion, you move on off of one of those forwards to bring in a defenseman.
From the Yvonne Herrera worshiper, in or out, Durangelo Sanjo will become a part of the starting rotation at some point next season. I'll say in. Yeah. At this point, if you're at AAA midway through this year, I would anticipate he affects the major league roster next year, and he's not coming up to be a reliever.
Yeah, I would as well. I think he's going to be one of those guys that they hope can compete for a rotation spot next season in spring training. And then the hope is once the season starts, if he doesn't make it, that he's making the push for it by April or May.
I'm going to say out if we're talking about 1 year from now at this exact point. Now, that's not to say he couldn't make an appearance later in the season, maybe in September as well. But beyond a Quinn Matthews, the room, the opportunity does exist for other guys to maybe be able to take that next step. Although you wonder if you're talking about Dobbins, if you're talking about a healthier Fitz, could those guys ultimately get the call before St. Joe?
From the 618, guys in or out, the Cardinals will give Walker an 8-year, $200 million extension. I think that's about the cost if he keeps playing this way.
Yeah.
I don't know if 200 gets it done.
I feel like you're going to have to go north of 200 if he keeps playing. If you have him doing this all the way up to the All-Star break next year, yeah, I don't think 200 gets it done if you're Jordan Walker.
225 minimum. That seems like a starting point.
If you're signing me for 8 years, you're going to have to pay me the money that I would make if I was a free agent in 3 years from now, which, I mean, we know what people pay if you're hitting home runs.
That's a good... I
think you're probably talking 250. If you're going 8 years, I think minimum 225, 250, like Bradford said.
Yeah.
So if he would take 200,
it's going to be so hard to get that deal done. Mm-hmm. He's going to be a really tough one because I just don't know who you're comparing him to for the team and for the player.
Well, we couldn't do a comp when he was struggling to get him out of that struggle.
Exactly. So there's almost no precedent for a guy coming back from being as bad as he was. I don't know what, let's assume arbitration and everything stays the same that it is right now. I don't think he's going to be a guy that goes crazy early in arbitration because of how bad his wins above replacement numbers were early in his career. So he's a really tough one for what the next few years of his contract would look like. Like normally you would expect year one of arbitration, if he was really good previously, like $3 million. Maybe that's still around where he gets. And then you're talking about 6 to 7 year 2 and then like 15 year 3. So basically for the next 3 years, like $30 million. And that's on the high side probably is what you're kind of looking at. So he's on 3 for 30 right now. So then he would need to be worth 5 for 170 is basically what you guys are saying with a 8-year deal worth $200+ million. Yeah. Do you think he could get that in free agency? I don't. Because that would take him up until age 31, I think.
Yeah, but if you're hitting home runs like he is, I have to imagine somebody would just pay an absurd amount of money to say, yeah, but he's got MVP potential and we'll put that. Because teams get crazy with money when a guy's available free agency at that age. So, yeah, I think somebody would throw that at him if he's playing the same way that he's been playing right now.
Would you do that right now? If Walker's agent came to you and said, hey, we'll do 8 and 250, would you be willing to do it if you're the Cardinals?
It's a risk, but I think I would take that risk for a guy that looks like he's dug himself out of that hole.
I would do it right now in ink.
I would not. I would not
Dude,
today.
It is risk.
I understand the reservations.
Huge,
I totally do.
Risk. If you get that one wrong, if you get it wrong on the Weatherholt deal, whatever, it's $15 million a year. You can eat that, right? Like the contract is, even if he never takes another step forward as a player, it's already a good deal. If Walker becomes something closer to what he was previously, and you have paid him $30 million per year on average, you're bleeped. Like, you can't get out of that, especially with the current financial situation the Cardinals find themselves into. Not only are you tying yourself to it, he's got to be the face of the franchise for the next 5 years minimum.
For sure.
For this to be worth it.
How much more expensive is he if he's doing this again next year?
I don't think that much more.
Yeah.
I don't know that he's going to be more than a $30 million a year player. Don't know how much higher you can get from that in terms of a ceiling. So I would wait if that's the asking price right now.
Yeah. I totally get it. I mean, it is a massive risk. It's just, if you don't think he's going to get paid more than that, I just feel like if he continues it, he becomes one of the more desirable players when it comes to that position with the defense he provides, his profile, and the ability to hit home runs. And if you're playing like an MVP for all of this season, and then you start off next year for the first 3 months playing that way, I think everybody targets that player as the guy that turns their team around.
I would be shooting for that Aaron Judge-esque offer that was made 4 years ago by the Yanks. 7 years, $230. Now that was rejected, of course, but, starting ground.
Alongside Alex and Bradford on BK. Coming up next, what did we make of Matthew Liberatore's most recent starts? We'll talk about that here on BK and Ferrario.
Get social with 101 ESPN. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, Threads, Blue Sky, and YouTube at 101 ESPN.
Check out the Last Minute Blues podcast with Alex Ferrario, Donnie Fandango, and Jeremy Rutherford on 101 ESPN. The guys bring you the latest news and notes on your St. Louis Blues. Watch or listen to the Last Minute Blues podcast on our YouTube channel or at 101ESPN.com. 101 ESPN Sports Center.
Big flies looming at Citizens Bank Park. I'm Bradford Bruns. Your Sports Center update is powered by Universal Windows Direct. For the first time since Albert Pujols in 2022, St. Louis has a home run derby representative. Jordan Walker gets his showcase tonight along with Philly favorites Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper. 101 ESPN's coverage begins immediately following our instant replay show. Tomorrow's actual Midsummer Classic will feature Walker plus fellow Cardinals Riley O'Brien as well as Ivan Herrera. Yesterday, Redbirds prospects took center stage. Liam Doyle fanning two during Futures game action. Catcher Rainiel Rodriguez went hitless. Draft-wise, STL made 24 weekend selections. That top pick, high school outfielder Trevor Condon. This SportsCenter update was delivered by Universal Windows Direct. You'll be saying, I love my windows.
We're right back to more of it. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN.
I don't know what to do with Matthew Liberatore at this point.
Celebrate it, buddy. He's back.
I mean, I guess that's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's been pitching better lately. The last few starts has looked more like it did when I was like, hey, he could be your version of, you know, a legit playoff starter. He could be your Trey Savage. He could be your Brandon Pfaadt. And maybe for a month, he can look like a legitimate middle-of-the-rotation starter.
It's no coincidence that he went downhill after you said that.
He sucked. He was terrible.
Yeah, that's what the BKO looks like.
But over the last three, he's gone against Atlanta twice and once against Chicago. I would think, we all would agree, they've got pretty good lineups in those two teams, right?
Yeah.
At a minimum, they've got a lot of name recognition. Mm-hmm. Well, in those three starts, he's gone 16 innings, and he has 18 strikeouts with 4 earned runs allowed. Okay, what? Where is this coming from? Are you buying it, Alex? Because I remember last time we saw this, I said I'm buying in, and then we all wanted out immediately. We wanted a refund. Are you in? How are you feeling about what we've seen from Libby lately?
I don't know, dude. He's the one that I'm so like buyer beware, because the moment I buy into it is the moment he goes back to giving up 6 earned runs through 5 innings and no strikeouts with it. So like, I think we talked about it last week that his decisions in terms of what pitches he's using is starting to shift a little bit. Ivan Herrera has been behind the plate for him, so maybe that's part of the secret sauce. I don't think I can buy into it yet until I get a little bit longer of a sample size, because you are entering that portion of the schedule to where things get very difficult. It's a long portion of the season. You're coming out of the All-Star break. It does really get into hammer time in terms of decisions from front offices, and teams adjust accordingly as they go into playoff mode. It's about the time that Liberatore went downhill and didn't pull himself back in. So I think I still need about 3 to 4 more starts of this before I can sit here and say, okay, he figured out what it was and now he's fine. 3 starts just isn't enough for me for Matthew Liberatore. You're in, aren't you?
No,
I know you are.
I'm mostly just frustrated by it. Like, if this is in there, why is it so hard to extract it? And I understand if he was consistent, he would be viewed completely differently. Like, I get that, but there's clearly been a significant change in pitch usage over the last few starts. Like, suddenly he is going with his slider more often than his four-seamer. And previously, he was using his four-seamer about twice as often as he was using his slider. Mm-hmm. So this isn't a marginal increase. This is a complete overhaul of the way that he's going about his arsenal. Basically, if I told you, Alex, hey, you have 5 different pitches, and the one you're throwing the most often is the one that's getting hit the most often, what would your response be?
I'm not going to throw that pitch anymore.
I would throw it less.
Yeah.
Right? Like, just don't use that pitch as often. And that's what's happened. But it took 15 starts to get to that place where we changed the pitch usage, and I can't explain why that's been the case. because it's been a calendar year of him not having the level of success that he would want to as a starter. He was really good for about 2 months to start out last season, hit a wall. You could have argued that it was because of fatigue. It was his first time back as a starter at the major league level. Fine. But once you get into this season and it looks the same, it becomes more of an excuse as opposed to an explanation. And now it looks like, okay, maybe baseball just adjusted to what his stuff was. And then it took another 2 months before he adjusted back to Major League Baseball. So is this something that will actually become consistent for him? Does he now have an arsenal that's playing with Major League Baseball? Or is Major League Baseball once again going to adjust back to him, and then they're going to start hitting the slider again?
And
I don't know.
And that's why I think I need 3 to 5 more starts of this with Liberatore to find out, because, maybe it was just a matter of what we talked about for the longest time with Jordan Walker, of how, look, on some of this, it's got to be him. Maybe Matthew Liberatore just chose to keep going with that pitch because it was his safety net. But if he is making this leap and saying, like, no, I need to stop using it and kind of using other pitches and then intertwine this one, Major League Baseball adjusts. And what does it look like when they adjust? Like, that's the adaptability for pitchers is how you can judge this. And I think with Liberatore, we saw last year, they adjusted with him and fatigue set in. And this season, they've adjusted with him. How do you make that next adjustment? And that's going to be the back and forth you're going to have to see with him for at least the rest of this season.
How many hits do you think he's given up off of a curveball in his last 3 starts?
3 starts, 5 innings each, BK game. I'll say 1.
0. Has not given up a hit.
How many has he done on the fastball?
Outings. Opposing hitters are batting .235 against it. It's been far more effective.
Yeah.
Previously, just for context, opposing batters were hitting .280 with a .490 slugging percentage against his 4-seam. He's not throwing it as often, and it's been more effective. All of his pitches have gotten a boost in effectiveness lately, but on top of that, it seems as though he's using the correct pitches in the right counts now. So I don't know if that's a Herrera thing. I don't know if that's a Liberatore thing. I don't know if that's the Cardinals went to him and said, hey, buddy, this is your last chance. You better start going with your best stuff, or there's going to have to be a change that's made here, and Dobbins is going to take that spot in the rotation, or Quinn Matthews is going to take that spot in the rotation. I don't know. I can't give you a true explanation on the matter, but something has changed, and it's going to be one of the bigger storylines to open up the second half of the season is to find out, can he continue with this?
Yeah.
Is this something that will be sustainable, or is it another blip? And 2 weeks from now, we're going to have the exact same conversation.
Depending on the development of this pitching staff, I think the rest of this season is going to be a little bit of a trial for Matthew Liberatore of what does it look like? How do the guys behind you start to develop? And then what do they decide to do with him moving forward?
Alongside Alex and Bradford on BK, the Rewind is next here on 101 ESPN.
Tonight, it's the MLB Home Run Derby. Coverage begins at 7. The MLB plays on 101 ESPN.
Book your free consultation today for your medical issues at healthcare-evolution.com.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you've been injured in a car accident, call America's largest injury law firm.
Alex Ferrario back with you to talk about my friends out at Classic Air Care, heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric. This time of the season in St. Louis is the biggest reason why you need a company that's always out to take care of you. When it gets super hot out and your HVAC system just goes kaput and you're like, what are we going to do? Use the company that, one, has been making people comfortable since 1926, but two, has that same-day service that they're able to provide you. And that's because they've got 100 vans on the road, the ones with the orange penguins on the side. They're able to get to you within 24 hours and assess your issues. I've been using them since 2016. My family has been using them for the last 30 plus years because of that quality of service that they provide. And this is just one of the main examples of it. It's a free second opinion. And so what this is you use another company, you have them come out, they'll give you their thoughts on what went wrong. And if you're not 100% comfortable with that, you call up Classic Air Care and ask for a second opinion. opinion, and they'll come out there, they'll do that free second opinion, they'll inspect your system, give you the diagnosis, and they'll give you an honest recommendation of what they believe is best. So call them today, schedule online. Do me a favor, tell them Alex Ferrario sent you. Classic Air Care and classicaircare.com.
This is exactly where you want to be listening to us. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Let's run it back with a daily rewind on BK and Ferrario. Brought to you by Gloria Loom, your home sold guaranteed realty. Selling your home begins at GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Alongside Alex and Bradford on BK. If you guys missed anything from the show today, be sure to check it out on the podcast page, 101ESPN.com, and the free 101 ESPN app is where you go to find it. That podcast is sponsored by
Schaefer Door Company.
You can also check us out, as always, over on YouTube at youtube.com/101ESPN where you can see the latest edition of both the Redbird Report and the Last Minute Blues podcast. By the way, don't forget, subscribe to our show page, our channel page over on YouTube. Again, youtube.com/101ESPN STL, and subscribe to the BK and Ferrario podcast feed as well, wherever it is that you get your podcast. All right, Alex, to finish off the show today, on Friday, Cardinals made some huge news announcing the long-term extension for J.J. Weatherholt. You can find my full thoughts on this on the podcast page, along with Alex's, but my elevator pitch, I loved it. Loved the deal. Couldn't believe that they were able to lock him in for the number of years and the amount of money that they did. I think JJ left a little bit of money on the table. That's not a criticism so much as a, wow, good for everybody involved to get this thing done. He's lucked up through his prime to stay here in St. Louis. It is as symbolic as it is about, the here and now. It shows the Cardinals are willing to hand out this kind of money to their young players. So loved the deal. Didn't think it would get done. Didn't know that they were incentivized to do it. But once you saw what he was willing to take, made a whole lot more sense.
Yeah, and if he continues to develop the way that he has looked this season, you're talking about a steal of a signing for the Cardinals. And I just didn't expect it. I thought he was a guy that wouldn't fall into this criteria because he was under their control moving forward. And to me, my first thought was, is this the start of them locking up the faces of the franchise? Like when Weatherholt signs this contract, that starts the precedent of, okay, he is the guy that we are doing this rebuild around. Now, what does that mean for Jordan Walker? What does that mean for Alec Burleson? What does that mean for Mason Wynn, Ivan Herrera, some of the pitching members that they have in their pipeline? This is the ownership saying this is the direction we're going, and how do they start picking and choosing the guys that are here and how they fit into the future the same way Weatherholt does.
The Cardinals finished the first half of the season with a record of 50-45, some of the most notable numbers as we have officially reached the end of the first half. Jordan Walker leads the team so far this year with 22 home runs. He also leads the team with 13 stolen bases.
Of course he does.
At the All-Star break, you have Alec Burleson with 15 home runs, J.J. Weatherholt with 13, and Ivan Herrera at 11. Alex, I think we would all agree Jordan Walker has been the single biggest surprise in the first half. But what are you most going to remember from this first half of the season?
I mean, it sounds chalky, but it is Walker. Like, I
think that's a fair answer.
I think it's Walker, but I also think it's them. We spent the last 3 years talking about the Cardinals are never going to go anywhere unless they figure out who their future superstars are going to be. And we thought last year that Jordan Walker was not it. We wondered if Weatherholt would be it. Now it really feels like, one, they found those guys, and two, the guys that are coming up behind them might be something the Cardinals haven't had in a long time. So I guess what I'm really going to remember from this first half of the season is, was this the start of that continuous playoff World Series-esque teams that the Cardinals were building towards? Because this might be the year we look back on and say, man, remember when we thought Jordan Walker was gone and he just came out of nowhere that first season? That's what I think I'm going to look back on in this first season.
It's fun to watch Cardinals baseball again. Yeah. That's going to be the thing for me. Is I've enjoyed this team a lot. The youthful energy is real. The tarps off movement was really cool to begin the season as well. It felt like the crowd was playing off of the players, and then the players would play off of the crowd, and it was reciprocated. I think that the manager has become somebody that a lot of Cardinals fans now enjoy instead of like complaining about what he would do on a day-to-day basis. They have, for the most part, I believe this year, actively helped the team with their roster decisions by sending down Gorman, by sending down Victor Scott, by putting in pieces that are better at those respective spots, calling up Jimmy Crooks when they did. I just think it's been such a refreshing first half of the season. A lot of baseball left to be played. We'll certainly break it all down for you guys throughout the second half here on BK and Ferrario. We will break down the Home Run Derby, which begins tonight on 101 ESPN at 7 o'clock. Jordan Walker will be participating in that. We'll break it all down tomorrow here at 11. For Alex and Bradford, I'm BK. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 11 a.m. The Fast Lane is next here on 101 ESPN.
The Redbird Report, your front row seat to all things Cardinals. From the dugout to the diamond, BK and T-Bone go deep with the latest news, notes, and analysis. Watch the Redbird Report on YouTube or listen online at 101ESPN.com.